Welcome to the Horror Hangout podcast, where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condo with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello.
And today we have a very special guest, a certain Laura Kendrick. I have here her diagnosis. Laura Kendrick is a Manchester-based multi-genre author with a love of strange and unusual. She has a master's in creative writing, a BA in film studies, and is the author of the swashbuckling fantasy adventure, The Search for Silverdeer. Alongside writing, she's the proud owner of a small menagerie, a chaotic Instagram, and a complete collection of diagnosis murder episodes and books. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Welcome. Hello.
I mean, before we go any further, congratulations, not only on the book, but more so on having a full set of diagnosis murder episodes and books as well.
And a chaotic Instagram. What is that? That's like a half a post, quarter of a post one day.
Yeah, more like it doesn't know what it's doing. So people tend to follow me for one thing and then go, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Not what I signed up. Well, I know exactly what I signed up for. Lip syncing reels. And there's plenty of those. So
yes,
if you love that.
Are you enjoying, do you enjoy reels, Ben? I love, particularly as someone who puts work into content every week and writes stories as well, much like the rest of you here. I love to see someone has just commented, can't believe they showed this on television, and then lifted a clip of Family Guy, had 2 million views. Fucking love it. Makes me feel so good about all the effort I put in.
When on Instagram Reels, I look at it and I go, this was all on TikTok like a month ago. What's going on?
But I don't
like
think
a month behind.
This is how I get my TikTok, like a month later. It's a more curated TikTok in a way. Only the good stuff makes it over.
You're right, it is. All the great stuff is there and nothing else.
Yeah.
None of the pap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
pure pap.
Everyone all right? Everyone had a good week and all that?
It's been all right. I've been hunting trolls since last week. I enjoyed your I enjoyed your thing. Oh, and I was shouting at my screaming at my iPod last week when you were struggling to remember where Station's from. He's from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was doing that as well. I was doing that in work, and somebody turned around and was like, "What are you saying?" And I was like, "Never mind, just never mind."
What we do? How many people have been in our entire time of recording this podcast? When how many people have been screaming at their iPad or iPhone because
you idiots?
It's Candyman, you idiot, not Candyman. Stop getting it wrong, dickhead.
I can't even remember what we were talking about, but we got stuck on the station thing for like a good 30 seconds, didn't we? We were like, "Wait, who's that from?"
It's talking about trolls.
I didn't even know what to. I didn't even know what to Google. Station from a film? I don't know.
He's so creepy.
Yeah.
Like Station's super creepy. He looks like a slightly hairy ball sack.
Like a troll made of chewing gum.
Yes. Like
he looks like, do you know who he looks like? John McCririck.
He does.
Oh my God, he does.
Do you remember John McCririck? Hey, who's going to bet on the Grand National? We've got this and that. John McCririck.
It's like he's in the room.
And he was a massive, horrible misogynist on Celebrity Big Brother.
He'd be all right on it. He'd have been all right in this blooming film, wouldn't he?
He would have been all right.
He would have.
His wife / life partner is called Booby as well. That's true.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that's true.
Then he
is
lost
dead
all
now,
that weight and had like a neck like Fat Bastard in the last Austin Powers film.
Yeah, like a saggy, empty scrotum neck. God, he does. I'm
like
trying
a turkey, gobble gobble.
I need to put a picture of Station and John McCririck next to each other. I'm going to do that at some point.
You work on that.
Well, while you're doing that, there's some news. If you guys, in fact, I know you guys have seen it. I don't know if Laura's seen it, but the trailer for Prey, the new, I can say Resident Evil movie. It's not what I meant to say. It's a Resident Evil trailer, the new Predator movie. Have you guys seen it?
I have.
Yes, indeed. Have you seen it, Laura?
I have not seen it yet, but I was reading about it because didn't you guys post about it on Instagram?
I think we did it on the Facebook certainly and other bits.
So I was reading about it, but I've not watched the trailer yet.
I mean, the trailer looks really good. I mean, it's promising a lot. My expectations are pretty high.
Yeah, it looks like a trailer for a good film.
Yeah. Is that what we want from a Predator movie? Yes,
A good
of course
film,
it is.
absolutely. Yeah, I
And
really. All this time, I've been hoping for a good Predator movie, and sometimes
Yeah.
you get one, like in the
you know what?
80s.
I wanted a Predator movie as well, where the Predator is mostly invisible for the duration, and it looks
Yeah.
like definitely for a lot of this trailer, he's invisible, or
Yeah, 'cause
she
that's just like
is
scary. It's like a
invisible.
scary invisible slasher guy.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that was what made the first movie work so well, is that unseen force. Like, what the hell's this thing going to be? And sure, we all know what the Predator looks like, but still, there's still that little bit of mystery, which I
Especially
like.
in this one, we see in the trailer, we see little images of the Predator. He still looks weird. Like, I can't quite work out what he actually looks like. So it looks like when you're looking at the face of a spider, like a big spider, and you zoomed in. Like, what exactly is the mouth bit? I don't
Well,
understand what I'm looking at. How does that
considering
thing
this
eat?
is so it takes place like a couple of 100 years ago, doesn't it? So maybe I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe the Predators look a bit
Okay.
different. Their armor's a bit different. Who knows?
Fashion might have changed. Fashion might change over the years.
This one was wearing a tie, a little tuxedo.
Little curly moustache.
He had
Top hat.
he had shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Come on, Ed.
They should
Predator,
do.
Predator through the ages.
I was going to say they should do Strange Things and do a Predator set in the 80s, but I think they may have already done that one.
Oh, the original. Where's this original Predator set? Who knows?
So do a Stranger Things. So like rather than fighting Army Man Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's after teenage children.
Yeah, it could prove more
could
of
work.
a tough test for him.
It's a
Do you know what?
short
There's
film,
been
that one.
loads of horror news this week. Like loads of
Mm.
trailers all popping out from every corner
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
internet. There was obviously a new Resident Evil Netflix show trailer.
How do you feel about that?
kind of
Ben?
Yeah, I need to take Ben's pulse on this one because Ben, usually Resident Evil positivity till the end. This is the one he's waning on.
Yeah, I am waiting on it. Maybe because Welcome to Raccoon City did me so dirty. The jury's out, you know. I'll watch it definitely. I'll probably watch it as soon as it comes out. But do I think it looks good or great? No, not really. But we'll see. We'll see.
I don't think it looks like a Resident Evil story because it's a post-apocalyptic story, and that's not really Resident Evil. But I
Yeah.
think it looks like a very interesting post-apocalyptic horror movie.
And there are some monsters in it that we haven't seen in Resident Evil movies. So there's a giant spider. There's what looks like a tyrant. Obviously we've seen the licker before, but it looks like the gravedigger thing that comes out the ground. If there's more monsters, I'm all for it.
I'm looking forward to this. You know, I've got hopes that in being different, it'll be good.
Mm.
And of course, we have the element that we've been promised from the very beginning, from the first talking points of this series. Bad dad, Bertie Wesker. He's back. He's amongst it. What's he doing? Being a bad dad, we think.
Being a bad dad.
Yeah.
I've never played any Resident Evil games and thought, what does the main antagonist of this series, what's he like as a dad?
I mean,
That's what I want to know.
You go back to the
Like,
games.
what makes him tick?
What's he banging on about? He's usually talking about testing bioweapons, mankind being due this winnowing for far too long, falling into lava, that kind of stuff that he's into
Yeah.
normally. But now, what he's into is being a dad. His heart's in the right place. Maybe though his priorities aren't quite straight. Let's find out.
Yeah.
And that's how you capture the heart of millions of fangirls.
Just
Yeah.
Exactly.
like that.
I've seen him look good in Shades and do a good bit of like Matrix dodging, but what's he like as a father?
Albert Wesker, daddy. Sorry, I've always wanted to say that.
Oh
Um,
no.
But there's trailers all over the place, right? I could barely keep up. So we've got like a teaser for the Wednesday Addams Netflix show. So this looks quite interesting, starring Jenna Ortega, obviously who's had a amazing year with Scream and X. She is playing Wednesday Addams. Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia. I mean, that sounds pretty badass, doesn't it? Louise Guzman is Gomez, and Christina Ricci is apparently going to be in it as well. So it's like I'm assuming it's like a supernatural infused mystery charting Wednesday Addams' years as a student at Nevermore Academy.
I mean, I have no idea what to expect. I
Yeah.
guess I'm kind of excited. I'm not. No idea. Who knows?
I'm
Yeah.
excited. I love the Addams Family. I love like the original one as well, the black and white one.
Mhm.
So I'm like excited for it, but they need to keep the spirit of it. and not
this
just
is,
make it too kid friendly. Like,
Yeah.
But
Don't
this
make it too
Tim-
like young adult / teen.
Don't want to
orientated.
No.
doing a floss. Don't want to doing none of
Don't
that
wanna-
business. Don't want to with a TikTok.
Don't be Riverdale.
It didn't look,
Yeah.
to be fair, from the trailer, it didn't look Riverdale, which I'm quite happy about. But this is Tim Burton on Trent, right? Who's doing this one?
Tim Burton on Trent. So there's going to be a checkered floor at some point.
I mean, so it looks to me
1000%.
more like I can't remember what it's called, like a Peculiar Children of the Peregrine Falcon household.
Mm.
I don't know what that's called.
Oh, the
Peregrine
off-brand
Falcon.
X-Men.
as a hot crow. That's
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna have more of that vibe to me, which
Mm.
I'm interested. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen the trailer for that yet, but I will check it out. What
Yeah.
else you got in the news bag, Ben?
Another trailer for Rob Zombie's The Munsters teaser trailer. I mean, this is you say it's a trailer. It looks like a screen test, like that they're kind of going, what do these characters look like? Has anybody seen this?
No.
no, and I immediately
Basically,
want to see it.
it's like it's recreating the opening credits from the Munsters TV show. When he comes through the door and then
Oh,
Gets home
Yeah.
from work.
gets home from work, and yeah, it's pretty much that. And yeah, let's do it. Fine, whatever.
Let's
I mean,
do it.
let's do
Ben's
it.
in,
And we
I was
whereas I'm out actually.
I'm just glad they've not gone. This is Rob Zombie doing the Munsters. It's not like some grungy trailer park version.
it's like the Munsters, where they're a nice, they're a horrible family. They don't like each other. We've established that this is a nice, right? And it's not horrid. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got
It
like a
looks
spooky
like it's a
family in it,
nice-
but
It might
but
go
they're nice.
hard. It
it
might
might go hard. It might be a bit meta.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It might be like, oh, this is
Yeah.
how we play up to whatever, and then but this is what we're like really.
They're gonna all get.
I hope it
Oh,
isn't that.
no.
Like I've
Sync-loaded.
seen enough thing
God.
where like it turns out the dad is an abuser. He can just be a nice dad if you like.
Yeah. Don't worry,
They
I
should
mean,
have got David
Aspirational
Harbour to
Frankensteins.
play him.
did you say David Harbour to play?
They should have got David Harbour to play Herman Munster.
Yes,
He
because
would
he's
have
a
been an
serious
amazing
unit.
Herman Munster.
Because he's a serious unit.
You know that there's like a meme picture of like a Chad face. It's got a massive chin.
Yeah.
That is just David Harbour, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
in the Stranger Things, I swear his chin's doubled in size, in width at least.
I was fascinated in Stranger Things by David Harbour's feet. There's a lot of
Yeah.
close-ups of David Harbour's feet, and I was thinking, what size are they? They're like two loaves of hearty bread.
Oh, Ben,
They're
your
like
cookie,
14
your
to the
cookies
power
now
of
are going to
10.
be ruined if you've been searching celebrity names plus feet. You're on a list.
David Harbour's massive, manly, hairy toes.
David
get- you
Harbour
could
and his
get-
bread feet.
You couldn't get one of them in your mouth. You couldn't.
Couldn't eat a pudding, no.
But you
Uh,
could if you tried hard enough.
Well, that's why that
Yeah.
mate got a fella to smash it with hammer.
I
so
could
it
have a
fits.
slice.
that's the attitude. Okay, last trailer. Resident Evil 4 remake game coming to all platforms in March 2023. I don't know if you guys watched the State of Play
Well, I
PlayStation
did.
reaction, but I watched it like live, so I had no idea. And when it was sort of like what kind of guitar would you say? Spanishy, classicy
It
guitar
must be a
playing.
Spanish guitar given the theme.
Spanishy.
I was like, this is Resident Evil 4. This is Resident Evil 4. And as it zoomed in, I was like, this is Resident Evil 4. And then a slight bit of doubt, and then revealed Resident Evil 4.
I do
What do
like to be on the cutting
Yeah.
edge of the news like this, but I can't watch any of those events live because the live stream of comments is so insufferable. I feel like I could like itchy the killer myself, like literally knitting needles into my eyes because it is the worst. I
just don't
can't
know
like I
myself.
can't I find even the 20 seconds it takes me to find a way to turn it off physically painful. And I also can't deal with the chat in between. I just have to watch the trailers afterwards.
That was the trailer for this. Now get ready for the.
We're excited to offer many opportunities to look at this in more detail in the coming weeks.
Here's that game that's been out for 5 years, now in VR. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you-
I
how you feeling about
started
it?
to watch it.
What we get? Yeah,
I
go on.
started to watch it, and then I was like, I'll just skip along a little bit on the YouTube video. And I was like, this looks a lot like Resident Evil Village. And then I realized, oh, it is Resident Evil Village. I skipped too far and I was in the next trailer. So we've got the exact same characters.
But it's
Um,
VR
Hang
now.
on a minute. Hang on a minute. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
notable
um,
character Ethan Winters. I remember him.
Yeah.
Ethan Winter's hands are invincible. But yeah, Resident Evil 4, it's an amazing game. No matter what platform you played it on, it always delivers. And I'm well up for a remake of it because Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes were pretty awesome. So
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Resident Evil 4. Sorry, Ben, I feel like it's my turn to be negative now. I'm excited for Resident Evil 4 being remade, but is it necessary? I think the original one, especially they've done a little HD polish of it. It's fine.
The VR one's good as well.
It's fine and it works really well. Mechanically, I'm not sure what they need to change about it. I would have much rather have seen, and I'm not the first person to have said this, it's all over the internet, Code Veronica would have been a better remake.
I would have been excited for either. I think I would have been equally excited for either.
I guess it's harder to remake Code Veronica because some bits are a bit probo these days. Old Alfred Ashford and Claire says some rather unkind things about him for his lifestyle choices.
Cross-dressing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know what? Not impossible. Rewrite that dialogue. Remake that game that's good that not many people have played because it came out primarily on the Dreamcast.
Okay. Well, that's it for trailers. I was trying to fly through that because there's bloody loads of stuff, but this is the news that might send shockwaves through the horror community.
Holding on.
Neve Campbell confirms she won't return for Scream 6, and she's released an official statement. I won't be making the next Scream film. And basically, she says she's worked extremely hard to establish her value, especially when it comes to Scream. And apparently, the offer that was presented to her did not equate to the value she brought to the franchise.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Crap.
Do you think it'll stay like that, or do you think this is now a public salary negotiation that it will very much force the producer's hands to pay what she likely deserves? I mean, I don't know what the amount of money is. Like, you know, if she's being paid $1 million, it's more money than I'm ever likely to see. So it's hard to sympathize. But also, she's the star of those things. If she wants however many $1 million, probably is worth asking for. She's the main character.
And
maybe
she's kind of got them by the balls now. They're like 6 films in or whatever. So she can, and they're like, they need her because the story is kind of about her, doesn't it?
Unless they're going to mash her and say, you know, she died off screen. So
yeah, what's the dog from The Simpsons called?
Yeah,
don't do that.
Poochie. And like really get, you know, really go for it. Oh, she died of being.
Go back to my home planet.
She died of what? She died of being. Being like smelling too bad. Oh, she really stank.
Yeah.
Oh,
didn't they do that in like? Didn't they do that in? Was it there's like some sort of Sex and the City sequel / reboot? But Kim Cattrall didn't want to come back for it, so they went. She's in England or something.
Oh, she
literally said that.
Yeah, she died of being a dickhead, something like that. Yeah. She was committing crimes. You should have seen the stuff they found on a laptop. Actually, probably better that we don't talk about her again.
I think what's
moving on.
Is the reveal at the end of the next one when they take the mask off. It's going to be CGI'd.
Roy Kinnear.
A deep fake. A deep fake of her.
You fucking bitch. Whatever he said. What did he say?
Yeah, is it? You'll pay out to seat with me. No, thanks. Fucking bitch.
It was an extreme reaction. And a weird, creepy Jimmy Savile looking priest. We'll get to
we'll come to him. Yeah, do you think she'll get what she wants and come back, or do you think that's it? And do you think this is going to fundamentally change Scream 6 for the worse?
She'll get what she wants, won't she? Because they'll give in to the fans.
Yeah.
Because especially with social media, because they'll be going nuts.
Yeah, I mean, and this shouldn't happen. I shouldn't make light of it, but those guys will be not able to move for unreasonable threats of violence and insane actions for not doing what fans want.
Basically, Ugly Sonic has set a precedent where, so basically, it's a trial by social media now. No matter what choice you make.
And it's happened very recently with For Good or Ill, Futurama is coming back again, right? And it was going to be all of the voice cast except for John DiMaggio, who is Bender's voice. And he wasn't going to come back for very similar reasons. Saying, look, I'm not going back, all the best to him, but I'm worth more than that, and like we can't reach an agreement on salaries. Everything went insane, and it worked out. They paid him what he, again, deserves for that work. I think voice actors, even more so than physical actors, will be undervalued for the work that they do and how essential they are to those characters.
Can't be Futurama without Bender.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
And you can't revoice that character. It's not like it'd be really tough to do. And the same, like you can't recast Sidney Prescott.
No, literally the only option is to somehow write her out. I don't know. Who knows? She's gone off grid.
Would you write her out for this one, or would you write her out permanently?
I think with a new Scream, I never ever know. I'm like, where the hell can this franchise? It doesn't feel like a franchise that's got never-ending possibilities. It feels like the franchise, whatever the new film is, it's gonna hit certain beats and that's it. It's not like your Freddys and your Jasons where they can go to New York and space. New York
space. And I guess that's your other option. Scream,
Space.
well known for being, having like huge amounts of meta content in it. Could this be part of it?
Maybe it'll become so meta, it'll end up like Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Like a parody of itself.
It turns out you're the killer.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Turns out you're the killer.
Definitely not.
The end of the film, it just like gets like a live feed from your phone and it's you in the mask, and it's like, what? It was me all along.
Oh my god. We should do Scary Movie.
That.
Yeah, we should do Scary Movie.
I've got a fond memory. I always think about, I don't even know which one it is from, but Leslie Nielsen, when the aliens arrived.
It's the third one.
Different to us.
It's the third one with the
peeing
sounds.
out of his finger for some reason. Always have that memory.
All I remember from Scary Movie, and this might just be the way my brain is wired, isn't someone do like a load of jizz and like plaster someone?
That's the first one.
Plaster someone to a ceiling.
Yeah. Classic.
I'm so glad that actually happened, that it wasn't just some weird.
The main bit that I remember is them gathered. I'm not sure if it's Scream 1 or 2, but they gathered around a piano. And they're like doing like classical, like Victorian sing along, but they're doing like shake your ass, watch yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's Scream 2, Scary Movie 2.
Is that one where like the Regan character comes in and then they all turn around?
Yeah.
She pees on the floor, and then like she's a bad dog, they put their face into the pee. What have you done?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the one with the guy that's like, take my strong hand, child.
Yeah.
Which kills me. Like,
wow. How many are there? Is it 4?
At least 4, if not 5.
I think there's either 4 or 5. I recently rewatched them all, and I was like, why are we even watching it? When it gets past 2, it's like, what is this?
It's because a lot of the points of reference are so like specific to that time period, and some things haven't like lasted. They're not relevant anymore. Like no one goes, oh, remember that film or something. I don't know. I feel like that with all the other spoof movies. You look at
it's always a gamble, isn't it? Like how much like cultural capital are they going to have long term? You're gonna jam pack your movie with Avatar references.
Yeah.
That'll pay up in the long run.
Yeah. Avatar will.
Oh, can I have a Jake Sully haircut, please? Who?
Yeah. Even Sam Worthington didn't make the most of that. What was that?
Sam? Is Jake Sully in this new Avatar?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. Don't think you see enough in the trailer to see who's in it, apart from
Did
the
you
weird.
notice they've seem to have made the aliens slightly longer and slightly less human looking for probably because the first one, they were very problematic.
Were they?
I've not
so
noticed
they're like they're definitely aliens. They're definitely not a stand-in for like Native Americans.
Okay.
This is not. This is completely different to Pocahontas. Completely different.
This is not. This is. I have not copied the script of Dances with Wolves, but made it in space.
Yeah.
All I remember from
longer.
Avatar, you could plug your hair into
Yeah,
like
you
a
can you can USB into a horse or a pterodactyl. You whack your USB ponytail up its ass, and you're good to go. You can
What's all
fly
that
them.
about? Hang on a minute. Don't pull the USB out without ejecting it properly. What have you done?
Oh, you've got to disconnect it in the menu. You've corrupted it.
Corrupted it. It's just
You've
falling to its
corrupted your
death.
pterodactyl.
Falling out the sky to its death.
Jittering out the sky. Yeah. And it's all for the cost of very well thought out and thoroughly workshopped mineral name unobtainium.
Yeah. Unobtainium. Is Sam Rockwell's character, did he die in it? The first one?
Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell, isn't it?
No, he wasn't
it?
Sam Rockwell. It was BB's
Oh no,
little
it wasn't. I know. Is that that Giovanni?
Yeah.
Someone. Why did I think it was Sam Rockwell for a second? Oh dear.
Just say names. Oh, Stephen Dorff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Morgan Freeman's in it. Okay, that's it for news. Anybody else got any horror news for this week? Anyone seen anything of note? There was loads, and that was loads. That was a lot of stuff.
So much news. That's enough news. Other things have happened.
Other things have happened. So I guess we're just going to talk about what we've been watching, and I'm pretty sure all of us. I mean, I might be jumping to conclusions, but I'm pretty sure we've all seen Stranger Things.
Have we all finished Stranger Things?
Volume 1. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
did you all enjoy it?
Let's not spoil
I
it.
might have talked about this last week a bit, but
Unbelievably good. Like to the point where I'm just like, wow, all bets are off now. This is it. This is it.
It's so hard to pick if it's. I think my immediate reaction was this is the best season, but it's so hard to say that because all of it is built on the shoulders of the seasons that have come before it. Stranger Things for me has been consistently strong. Second series may be a little bit of. I can't remember that one quite so strongly, but it builds so well, and these characters are every time they introduce one, you'd be heartbroken if one of them was killed off. Well acted, really well produced. They've clearly really got a great amount of like visual budget. I agree with you, Luke, and Ben when you were saying last week that, and I appreciate we present a horror podcast, so we digest a lot more horror than maybe your average general audience, but it doesn't half wind me up where it's like, you may have noticed these subtle hints towards other horror things. People have nightmares. A bit inspired by a little known film that you might not have heard of because it's quite a niche release. It's called A Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's a great name for him.
I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah. Oh, have you not heard of that? There's this guy apparently, Freddy Krueger he used to be called. And you ever guess what those cheeky guys have done? Well, the actor that plays him as a really subtle hint to the fact that this is connected. Yeah, it's
Blink,
really.
and you might have missed it.
Oh yeah, blink and you really might have missed this guy. Who's in about 3 episodes. Probably is on screen for several minutes. Yeah, I really like it, and I really like the way that they've done the references. And there's other references as well. The Stephen King's It. There's tons of stuff that it's built into, and I think they reference it really well. So I don't want my teeth grinding to be mistaken for not liking the references. I like that. I dislike the poor journalism that's pointing these things out to us like we are fools.
Yeah. The scene from the end of episode 4, I think it is. Like it's quite, I guess, already a famous scene that has. I don't want to say any spoilers. Everyone has had most people singing a certain song that's now like number 2 in the charts or something.
Yeah, it's really rocked up the charts, isn't it?
That scene is one of those scenes where there's a few films where I could just put on, no matter what movie I'm in, I could just put on that particular scene and still get chills and still get goosebumps from just seeing it. And it's so good. It's I don't know. It's just really well put together.
I was shouting at the telly.
Can't watch it sat down.
I was shouting at the telly, and after we finished the episode, my other half was like, "Right, I'm just gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna trim my hair, and then I'll come back down and we can watch the next episode because I think you need a minute to chill out. And I was like, you
Get put
might
on
be
timeout.
correct.
You got put on a cool down.
Yeah.
So I might just need a cool down from that.
Just a moment. Yeah, just need to watch something to calm me down. The way you say you got chills from episode 4, like I got chills from the end of episode 7, because I found 11's storyline, and I think I've mentioned it before. I find 11's storyline the least interesting out of everything, because I mean I get it, but I just feel I'm more interested in everybody else, the camaraderie between those characters, between well-written characters, their relationships, and them surviving. I always thought that 11 thing was a bit one note for me. But there's a moment at the end of episode 7 where it all kind of links together. And it was something that I didn't see coming. I'm not going to spoil it, but something I didn't see coming. But the way it's kind of done and the way it's slowly revealed, and the music as well. So the music is that Philip Glass song Prophecies, which is also used in Watchmen when Dr. Manhattan turns into Dr. Manhattan. And just that and the combination of the music, I was just like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever
That's
seen.
another scene.
Just
Just
like
that Watchmen scene. I
Yeah.
mean, this scene as well is good, but that I guess it's that Philip Glass score.
Well, yeah, it's that
Yeah.
score and that scene in particular. It always seems to be, it's just the soft sort of like spoken narration where you're finding something out that you kind of want to know. You're like, okay, they're telling us exactly what happened. Plus the music, plus the visuals, plus the performances, and the way it comes full circle. I was like, this is amazing.
You were stood up. Everyone in
Fantastic.
England has
Yeah.
stood up watching.
I
this.
floated up like that. And then somebody
Fantastic
put-
performances throughout. What would be your what song would help you if you were stuck?
Venga Boys.
The Venga Boys just
Finger busters coming.
yeah,
Everything
like
goes-
the guy's got you,
Everything.
and then he's the guy's got you, and he's about to twist your head off, and then he just hears.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm off sprinting. He can't even drop the rocks down on me. I'm already out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go like that, Tim.
See.
through the-
Thing is,
yeah.
that's
if
a good
if
choice.
that song played, I'm pretty sure Vecna wouldn't be able to help himself but dance along. All right.
You turn back round and he's got the outfit. Because what were they dressed as? There was
The
a
Vecna bus.
cowboy and there
Let's
was a
go.
sailor. He'd have the big cat. You turn around, have the big cowboy hat on. They'd be like coming on after you. Turns out you make friends.
His
Anybody else?
tentacles behind him, like
Oh, like syncing up.
The old
And the
glow,
other-
like
the
glow
other-
sticks.
Other people that he's got, his old victims, reanimated, just like dancing around.
oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh,
Yeah.
to be honest, a
good.
good soundtrack would make the Upside Down far less threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would your choices be?
I don't know. Vecna bus is pretty much spot on, isn't it, really.
The
Vecna
Vecna bus.
The Vecna bus is coming. I mean, it was released in the late 90s, wasn't it?
He could
Yeah.
turn it around, and that'd be what people hear instead of the ticky clock. They just hear that's when he's coming to get
Oh,
him. The
that ticky
Vecna
clock
bus is
sound.
coming.
That like ticky clock sound. Yeah, that noise makes me laugh every time, but it's so perfect. Like it just feels so 80s. Feels very
Time slop. Yeah.
Boom.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. What would bring you back then, Luke, Laura?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like normally when I'm running, like an Alkaline Trio song will kind of give me a bit of pep. Or there's a certain Eminem song that's like about not like keep on running or something, which is quite good. But maybe it'll probably just be either a Backstreet Boys song or a Mr. Blobby song.
I thought you were going to
One of
say
those.
Mr. Blue Sky again, because that'd work.
Mr. Blue Sky would be
Mr.
good.
Blobby.
Yeah.
I like how you say a Mr. Blobby song, like he's had a
He's got
massive
to-
discography, a
Yeah,
massive
true.
varied
There was a
career.
B-side. There was a B-side on that tape, I think. Wasn't there?
Mr. Blobby is basically David Bowie. He just changes the way he looks for every single album.
Ziggy Starblob. Yeah, it was good.
Blobble on Zoo.
Ziggy Starblob. Yeah, it can't be I was going to give a serious answer, but I think it's got to be a banger, isn't it? It's got to be an absolute banger that everybody knows to get you out of the
Cannibal
red
Corpse.
smoke land. Cannibal Corpse.
Dancing your way towards the hole. Yeah.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's what you need. Just
I
cheer
reckon
you
that'd cheer Vecna up as well. He'd be like, you know what? Get me out. Let me come to Hawkins and just
Make
let
the
me come
best
to
of
Hawkins
it,
and live
mate.
with you.
Yeah.
You know what? I've changed my mind. You can go. It's all right. I'll find somebody else.
Does anyone have a particular favorite character? Because I feel like the dynamics between, I love it when characters in TV shows interact and they've never interacted before, or like they've never crossed paths, and you're a bit like, oh yeah, they haven't. But I absolutely love the way these characters. So I'm talking Nancy and
Robin.
Nancy and Robin.
Robin's great.
Those two
Robin
together.
so much.
Those two together, just amazing. Yeah,
I think it's the combinations of the two. Like, you have to enjoy, like, Steve and Dustin as well is great.
Steve and Dustin's great, but I also like Steve and Eddie, because initially they're a bit wary of each other. Like, the first thing that happens is Eddie puts a broken bottle to his neck. But then I loved how I wouldn't say it was a relationship as such, but how their interactions
They
changed.
just get comfortable. Like, I think it's a really well written, produced show. We could rave about it for an entire episode, but I am absolutely, despite trying and then failing not to binge the new series immediately, I've got no bones about it. I know the next 2 episodes that come out in July are meant to be both like feature length. Fuck it, I'm watching them both in a day. I'm not going to lie to myself or to the listeners. Like, it's going to happen immediately, because going to need to get on it and see the end.
I would say in terms of characters that I wasn't keen on before, but I really like now, is the I don't know his name, but he does like judo chop.
Murray.
Oh yeah,
Murray. Yeah.
I like
Murray's
judo
not
chop.
good.
He's like, I don't know, he's really good in this season.
Yeah, he shaved his beard off as well.
I like Rory as well, actually. There's those good
Yeah.
characters. It's a
There's always a good Russian
Nice.
character
There's
in
only-
Stranger Things.
The only
Yeah.
Rongan who, Karen was like, no, that is an unreasonable reaction. I think that bully deserved to be smashed with a roller skate. I think she got off lightly.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. I know, like, violence is never supposed to be the answer, but my God, they were literally like skating around her. laughing
Sometimes
at
it
her.
is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it
That's
is
just-
the answer.
It's a lot. It's extreme violence, but it's only a little bit, wasn't it? It was just like
And,
bang.
if, and if she'd lived in a more litigious world, technically, by the eyes of the law, what they did to her was already an assault. So I know 2 wrongs don't make a right, but
That's true.
that taught her a lesson that she'll think twice about not being a bully in the future. I also
Don't be a bully. You'll get concussed.
I also don't like. I like him as a character, an interesting character, but he upsets me fundamentally. I don't like Dr. Red Flags. Mr.
Dr. Red
Matthew
Flag.
Modine.
Dr. Red Flags, with his popper. Like, that's creepy. If I was one of the other
Yeah.
scientists, I'd
Just
say,
call me
don't
Gary.
don't do that.
Just call me a normal name. Why would I say call me Popper? That
Yeah,
is
Stop
but
holding the
unlikely.
kid. Stop holding the kid's hands.
I'll give
Yeah.
you can do these experiments. They're important to save the world, but no popper, no hand holding. Sorry, professional distancing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very strange.
He is, I know it's the 80s that this is set, but they're like in the Stranger Things universe in the sort of 2010s, there are documentaries about that man just coming out now.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Dr.
Yeah.
Red Flags, lots of talking head things.
I was locked.
Oh, I thought
was locked.
I thought it was normal to call him Papa. Turns out it was fucked.
It was fucked. I was locked in an underground facility and made to turn on light bulbs with my brain for years. For a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid across a room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is any,
so that's good.
I'll
that's
tell you
good. Is
what,
anybody,
we're in for a lot of good TV at the minute. I also
it's
binged the
unbelievable,
first
yeah.
3 episodes of the binge of the boys. I also boys the
Boys.
first 3 episodes of the binge. And that
so
was
this
really
week you've watched Boys and Men.
good. Yeah.
Laura, you've watched The Boys as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I watched the first 3 episodes as well.
Is it in episode 1? Is there some, I've not seen it yet. Is there some sort of penis thing? Because I keep seeing.
Mate, I don't. Every season of the boys, there's a moment where it's like, no, they're not actually going to do that, are they? And then I've seen a lot of crazy things in my life, like, and I still feel like the boys still pushes it just that bit more than I'm expecting to. And yes, there is a bit of a penis, and it's when you see the size of it.
You can't describe. You have to see it. You can't
Oh, I've
Yeah.
not seen the new.
because
Yeah.
I got to the end of episode 3 and still turned around to my other half and was like, "Sorry, can I just clarify? At the start of episode 1, Did I really just see what I think I saw?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like so overwhelming that you can't. It doesn't look like what it actually is. It's like seeing a Lovecraftian god. Like it's indescribable.
Oh, you just got
Some
mad.
eldritch tentacle beast.
You'll be
Wow.
writing it in a diary and saying it's indescribable. Oh, if you saw it.
It's quite cool to see Jensen Ackles in it after I've watched
Oh yeah.
15 seasons of Supernatural.
So is it Soldier Boy?
Yeah, so far I'm sure at some point he's either going to do something horrific in like an awful way, or something horrific's going to happen to him. Nothing yet, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Homelander is one of the best villains on TV. Like,
Yeah.
he is incredible.
Yeah. He's scary, but like there's so much to him that you find out, and it's weird. It's like he's a bastard, but you're like learning so much about him every series.
Mm.
And he's genuinely scary.
Can't wait to get
He's
caught up with this.
terrifying.
Yeah.
It's good. It's consistent with the previous seasons.
I think who's the actor who plays Homelander? Anthony Starr.
Yeah.
He can just look. He doesn't need dialogue. He can just like look to the distance and make about 4 different facial expressions, and you're like, what is going on in his head? I don't want to know. Please no. It is impressive.
Spoiled for telly at the minute.
Yeah, spoiled for there's loads of stuff I've got to watch. I still haven't started Obi-Wan. I still haven't started Love, Death and Robots series 3. I think Miss Marvel's on.
Miss Marvel started today. I'm up to date with Obi-Wan. It's all right, it's good. It's if you like a Star Wars, you will enjoy Obi-Wan. As long as you don't like a Star Wars too much, which some people do, I'm afraid. If you like a Star Wars too much and you're very worried about like the legacy that you built up in your head, maybe not, but it's good. It's good Star Wars. The only hot take I have, which doesn't spoil anything, so don't worry, is I feel the Empire could have won the Star Wars if they just had better HR policies.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that.
Just don't accept workplace bullying. And it's not only in Obi-Wan, but so many times someone will be sneaking in and someone very rightly doing their job will go, can I see your security ID, please? Can I just check your clearance here? And they get away with it by going, how fucking dare you? They do some workplace bullying and the person like goes, oh, sorry. And my friend texted me earlier on to say, Darth Vader, strangling is not a good disciplinary tactic. No one's going to learn anything from that.
And nothing changes either, because Kylo Ren and what's his name? His name? Ginge.
General Hux.
General
Hux shouting all the time.
He's horrible to him. He's throwing a temper tantrum in a lift, smashing everything up.
Smashing your computers. They look like they're built into the wall. They're not just like, oh, get a new one from IT and plug it in. They're like plastered in.
We all know what it's like to work with somebody a little bit unhinged. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
but
not
that
good.
just means like someone clicking louder from across the office. Oh, he's had a bad email.
He's had a bad email.
Yeah. The Empire. Just wind it in a little bit. Do a little bit of workplace training. Talk about, like being assertive without being aggressive. That kind of stuff. Get some proper procedures in place for performance management. Not you make a single mistake, which I have deemed to be bad, strangled to death. You'd have won the Star Wars. And actually, maybe it'd be less the baddies. But anyway, that's good. Miss Marvel's real good. I think it's a real breath of fresh air. It's a character I know a little bit less about, but visually, it's really well done. The first episode,
Okay.
It's a rainy day here in Scotland, so found myself with a lunch hour with dogs that didn't want to go outside, so I sat and watched
Lovely.
nice bit of Miss Marvel. And I think visually it's not quite as stylized as an Edgar Wright Scott Pilgrim, but it has nice little visual touches in it that are really pacey. It keeps the story moving along. I really like the characters. I really like the family that she has in it. And it has, like, I think meaningful family conflict as well. It's not just like the two-dimensional, my mom won't let me do this thing, that like a family are like worried or disappointed, and you can see it from that side as well. And it's interesting. Like I can't wait till next Wednesday. See another episode.
Lovely. I did enjoy playing as Miss Marvel in the Avengers game. That was fun. So looking forward to seeing this. Anybody else seen anything of note this week?
Seen a couple of
I-
films. Flora, do you want to go?
It was last week. Watched the new series of Inside Number 9.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, that's been playing for a couple of weeks, but last week's was creepy. So
Oh.
it was what Reece Smith and Steve Pemberton do really well, which is unsettling to the nth degree.
I'm so far behind
That's
on
been-
Inside Number 9.
Yeah, me too. Seen one or two, maybe the early ones. I need to really sit down and go through it.
Yeah, same here.
There's an episode, 12 Days of Christine. I think it's like one of the best things I've ever seen. It's
That's
fantastic.
yeah. They like Reece Smith hates that episode. He was like, I don't
Why?
understand why people like it so much. Like, I think it's because it's not necessarily massively scary.
No, but it's just
It's
very,
not
very
like
sweet.
one of the big yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think he doesn't like it as much, because I listen to the podcast as well, the Inside Number 9 podcast, because
Yeah.
I love those two. Because I love anything like League of Gentlemen, Psychoville, all
Yeah.
those things. Like, but yeah, Inside Number 9, the new seasons are really good, and there was some really like creepy ones in this.
How many
in this
seasons are there
season.
now? It's a lot, isn't it?
This is season 6, I think.
Mhm.
They've
Yeah, I'm
renewed
sure
it
it's
for another
season
couple
6.
already, right? They've renewed it for 7 and
Yeah.
8 already, I think.
Yeah, but there's only 6 episodes
Mm.
in a season, so it's
That's
not like
nice,
they're
though.
massively long, and they're
That's
only
good,
half
though.
an hour long as well. So
I need to catch up
Yeah.
with those, much like with endless other things. But we
Yeah.
think about it.
So
Nice.
you also watched Dashcam, but we'll talk about it.
Talk about Dashcam
Yeah.
next week.
Dashcam next week. Yeah.
Other thing to touch on real quick from me, film-wise then. So you guys mentioned it, but I saw Men last week at the DCA, so the Dundee Centre for Contemporary Arts. Very nice of them to invite me along. And it was done in a double bill with a restoration of a 90-year-old vampire movie called Vampire. Really, really interesting. So it's like one of the very early non-silent movies. A lot of the dialogue is still delivered in the text cards that you get from back in the day. But then the rest of it is just there are voices that were dubbed in afterwards. It's got a real like dreamlike quality to it. It's definitely from an era of film where story wasn't delivered in the same way. And for some people it might be off their cliffs of quality because it doesn't feel like a modern film, not in the least. But it's a really interesting study, and visually there are some really interesting bits about it, and there's some for the time especially there's some harrowing acting. There's one particular bit, I mean, spoilers for 90-year-old movie Vampire, like if you haven't caught up with it yet, but towards the end there's a doctor who is in league with the vampire, and he gets lured to a mill and drowned in flour. And he really
Wow.
like it really is like this old actor, like
Dying.
I don't know.
Self-raising.
Feels like they could have. Feels
Self-raised
like
from
they
the
did.
dead.
Yeah, well, that's what vampires do. They self-raise unless you stake them. But this guy
Yeah.
isn't a vampire, so he just gets murked by a load of flour getting thrust on him. But it's all right, It's an interesting watch.
It's called Vampire, like
Yeah,
peer-to-peer network.
like vampire, but with a Y.
Oh, Vampire.
Yeah. So so yeah, that was good. And then there was Men. I also watched this week. I've been working my way through the Paranormal Activity movies. So I did after we did the episode 1 with Georgie a few weeks back now. I've done Paranormal Activity 2, the one where Toby doesn't like the pool robot, chucks it out all the time, and then they sell out the sister. And then I watched number 3, Teddy Ruxpin's Revenge, the one that they show it's the 80s several times by having the Teddy Ruxpin in it, and their dad gets bitten in by crooked grandma.
I
towards
think the
the end.
next one is the skateboarding one. So I think
It's
that's
for it's for
This
Xbox
franchise
Connect.
This franchise is chaotic.
the marked one.
What's going on?
Whichever one that is.
The marked ones is skateboarding. I think this
Yeah.
fourth one is the one with. I think this is one is Xbox Connect and the Prius.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
Silent Killer. So that's to come. That's my next watch. But I also watched Summer of '84, which is it's got like a Burbs feel to it. It's got like a teenage. We think our neighbor might be a serial killer, but it's going to be a twist, and it's actually going to be the girl next door that's the serial killer that is inexplicably interested in me. Spoilers for a film that you're unlikely to watch. It's not. It's the exact murderer they think it was all along. And
that is the Burbs, isn't it? The Burbs is where he's convinced it's them. It turns out it's not, but then it turns out it is.
It is him. And after there's only a small setback where it might not be him. It's very quickly definitely the guy.
Yeah.
But he gets him. Gets them all at the end.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And then
It
gets a few of them. It's like, oh, moving away. I think it's better in its idea than in its execution. And I think, unlike a Stranger Things, again, it's why I went into it, set in the 80s and so on, right? So it's as I think it lacks some of the nuance and the character. I think some of the language is a little bit one note, and I don't think they've quite got the finesse of referencing being at that time without it being a little bit clunky on occasions. It's got some merits to it. I've really, really simplified it here, but I wouldn't rush out and see it, but it's fine.
Cool. Summer of '84.
Yeah.
And then there were Men.
It were Men.
Which we all
Men,
saw.
menly men.
It's all that men
Raining
tropes now.
men.
Oh dear, it's
Rory
raining men.
Yeah. So, film of the week is brand spanking new release, Men. So, Men is a 2022 folk horror movie written and directed by Alex Garland. The film stars Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear. A young woman goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband.
Apple from the garden?
Yeah, it was delicious.
No. Mustn't do that. Forbidden fruit.
Oh, God, sorry.
I'm joking.
So the reviews are fair to middling, to be honest. 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it 69%. The audience score gave it 39%.
Ooh.
And Letterboxd is at 2.9 out of 5. A couple of choice reviews. Coco Castrek said, Alex Garland is my favorite director. I give him little kisses and leave him notes under his pillow. 5 stars. So they're just a big Alex Garland fan, which I would say I am as well. And the next person said, Alex Garland is father for making Ex Machina and Annihilation, but how can I forgive him for this one? Half a star. So Maris, it's about like Maris Piper potatoes. Half a star. Alex Garland is father. So they were a big Alex Garland devotee, but
They're his child,
they
in
can't
fact.
forget. Yeah, they can't. They're just trying to forgive him for this one. This is such a disgrace. This film, to them anyway. So I know you guys. I mean, I'm so curious to know what everyone's experience with this film was, because it's not exactly what I was expecting it to be. It was a weird film.
I was definitely surprised.
Yeah, I think my screening coloured my overall experience of the film. As I was watching this, in front of me there was a guy fast asleep, snoring his head off throughout the entire film, and behind me there were like 3 women who were laughing their heads off at every single thing that happened on screen.
Well, there are willies in the film, though. It's very funny.
I mean, I was laughing at that point as well, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that kind of coloured my experience of the film. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I think it's. I got really lucky with the screening. So I was at the DCA, and it was I think a lot of people that were there, it was quite a busy screening. And I think everyone that was there were obviously fans of the genre. They'd gone to an early screening of this film. And I think the reactions that we had in the cinema were very in tune with the watching experience. There were lots of gasps, and there, like that last half of the movie, there were people audibly going "fucking hell" when they watched some of the things that go on towards the end, which kind of, it wasn't a distraction. It kind of built it for me watching it. I'd say it was a good cinema trip. I think it enhanced it rather than it being neutral.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I think that's what mine was like, because I went to like it was a bank holiday, and it was like first thing in the morning on the bank holiday Friday, and so it was clearly people in there that really wanted to see it. So it's like their reactions were the same. Like it wasn't, we didn't, there was nobody in there that was like laughing wildly or like making loads of noise or whatever. But so there was a few like
what a good way to celebrate
like
a bank holiday Friday as well. I guess your choices on Friday were celebrate this country by going and waving a flag because of that lady that God has chosen for being better than the rest of us to sit on the throne for 70 years, or go and celebrating by watching some horrid men.
Exactly.
Horrid men.
Horrid men all day long for me, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what to expect. I think in terms of like when the title of this film was sort of like announced, I was a bit like, what the hell is this gonna be? And it was definitely nothing like I expected it to be, even after watching the trailer. I don't know, all of the male characters being played by Rory Kinnear, I think they should have saved it for the film. The fact that you kind of see that in the trailer is a bit like, I don't know.
But that was a good selling point of the film. That's one of the things in the trailer. I was like, okay. This is.
Okay.
I mean, this is like, being John Malkovich style.
Yeah.
Would you have saved any of the Rorys? Maybe would you have saved maybe little boy Rory?
No, he's gone. He's going.
No,
first.
it got to a point where I was sick of Rory Kinnear's face, and I was just like,
yeah.
That's really upsetting.
Talk to Jessie Buckley. She's sick of him by the end of this film.
Jessie Buckley. I don't know if I've seen her in anything else. Have I?
I think when I first saw the casting call, I was like, James Buckley. He's pretty good in In-Betweeners. Be interesting. Interested to see what he does in a horror movie.
Jeff
Buckley. That would have been a very different film.
He's got a pretty good set of pipes in. I wonder who would be like in a horror movie.
I'm just taking a look. I've not seen her in anything else. She's in Chernobyl.
Still,
she's in a film called
need to get her out as soon as possible. Beast. Oh, is that the Beauty and the Beast?
Oh,
is it Beast or is it Beastly? It's like
Beast. I see now, and like an adult
it's
fairy tale. It says.
It's like a take on Beauty and the Beast, and he's like, I don't know, he's probably like a murderer or something, and she falls in love with him.
She was also in that
because girls like a bad boy.
Yeah.
Murder, you say? Well, that sounds quite exciting.
That's just something to fix. Yeah, I mean, at least the original Beast had just been rude to a witch.
Yeah.
And the Beast, far more attractive as a beast than a man.
I know, he's a right ugly nose.
1,000%.
1,000%. When he turns into a man, like, oh, you're like, whoa.
Is there any chance?
When he turns into a man, even Belle goes, hang on a minute. Yeah. Give me a second.
Any chance Gaston is still alive?
Turn back into a beast. I don't want to turn back into a teacup. Yes, you will. The curse is back on.
Saw a stage production of Beauty and the Beast once at a theatre in Swindon. There was a little boy playing the cup, and he was obviously stood on a trolley, and they just wheeled out this trolley that had like a large, like teacup on it, and this little kid's face. Such a sweet little kid, and he had like a missing front tooth for his baby tooth to come out, and he came out and he was just like couldn't stop laughing. I was done for like 10 minutes of that film. Watching this performance, literally.
Were you pointing when you were laughing whilst you were laughing?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. God bless him.
Jessie Buckley is also in that Charlie Kaufman movie. I'm thinking of ending things.
Yeah.
Which I never got around to seeing that. But she was great in this. I think she conveyed so many different things in such a sort of great way. Yeah, and I think she kind of like held the film together for me, at least, because I was like, well, I kept thinking like, where's this going? What these visuals? I kind of see what it's kind of representing. There was obviously stuff about the Earth and Green Man and
I think
what's his name?
Before we even attempt on any of these themes, we've seen it in our reviews in the past, and I think none of us shy away from it. Laura, with your actual qualifications in film studies, you are the closest that we have to any legitimate empirical knowledge on academic study of a film that's going on here. Usually we just make fun of things that we find funny. People do not come to Horror Hangout for your serious debate. We'll do our very best. I think there are good themes, but just talking on those performances, I think Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear, quite possibly like career-defining performances out of both of them. I think they're phenomenally good. I think they're really strong performances from both of them.
Rory Kinnear doing his best Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor of playing every character.
Hercules. Hercules.
Hercules. The clubs. What's their name? But yeah, a lot of people said this is pretentious, and I guess what they're doing is they're looking at the subject matter, the fact it's called Men, and the fact that it's very obviously visually there is a story being told there. There's a message being put across. But I don't know. I kind of felt like, because it was a well-made film, like it looked great, it sounded great, the performances were great, I could kind of see past those sort of people said that they were quite heavy-handed. I don't know what you guys think, but in terms of
I read a review that said like, oh my god, it's so obvious, it like hits you in the face with what it's trying to say. And I was just kind of sat there like reading this review, and I was like, look, it's 2022, and in America, women's bodies are the autonomy is being taken away from them. So I don't think with a film like this, you can be heavy-handed, because like all the stuff that's going on at the minute, it's like, it's 2022 and we're still having to deal with this shit. So of course they're going to be heavy-handed. Like, we're past the point of subtlety. That's
I couldn't agree more, Laura. I think that when it comes down to some of these messages, some people, maybe they do think that they might come across as heavy-handed. But you know what? I say to those people, some people, thick as shit, you got to be heavy-handed, because if you try to be subtle with these things, like people, like some people pass it by, oh, that was a good movie about how that man was actually several people with a husband in him. Like it's you have to really go hard on those kind of messages, and I don't think the film suffered for it. I don't think it really lost any steps or any pace in doing that, and I think it still delivers separate and enjoyable at a very base level good terror and some sustained scares off the back of it. I think if you wanted to look past the messages and enjoy it as a series of flashing lights and sounds, then you can. Then you can if you want to, absolutely.
But I still feel like it's one of those discussions where, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, great point there, Laura, talking about, yeah, sure, it's 2022. Yes, the shit going on in America is horrific, but also like even stuff that's happening in this country, you know, when last year, well, obviously it happens a lot, but when last year when people are dying, you know, being attacked, sort of like in the capital and elsewhere, and a lot of the conversations that are being discussed are, oh yeah, but ain't all of us. It's not all of us. We're not all like that. It's like, yeah, but that's not the correct discussion to be having. So the fact that if this is the way you want to face it, if this is the way you want to face up to this stuff, which is in a film that makes you feel uncomfortable and makes you ask questions of yourself and makes you ask questions of, you know, half of the species, then yeah, because I think Andy, you made a point which was saying horror is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you feel a little bit, you look inward. I think a lot of horror makes you look inward. A lot of good horror makes you look inward. So yeah, I think it achieves what it sets out to do in that way. And sure, you can break it down. You can break it down as simple as possible. You can say it's called Men, yeah. Every male character is played by a man, yeah, and they're all trying to kill this woman, attack this woman. Right, okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, that's the thing. You can look at it from that perspective if you want, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think that's a narrow-minded thing to do.
And again, if you want this very basic approach as well, yeah, a lot of films right now are sharing, some of these messages because it's a hot topic right now. And as you say, horror as a theme should be confronting and encourage you to reflect on these things. But if the worst thing that happens, and it can be for matters of gender, it can be for matters of race, it can be matters of sexuality, but for being portrayed in a villainous light or showing some of the negative stereotypes that come from the dominant groups in any of these subject matters, if the worst thing in your life is that you feel a little bit targeted or criticized by a film, if that is the worst thing that's going on for you, you're probably doing all right. You are like, again, let's turn this sensible comment into a stupid metaphor, shall we? It's like Nickelback, and people saying Nickelback are shit. They're still filling stadiums. They're doing all right. I don't think Chad Kroger's crying himself to sleep at night that someone thinks that his band's a bit lame.
They got some
doing
riffs,
fine.
man. They got some riffs, Nickelback.
Yeah.
He's got a nice voice.
So don't feel attacked, Chad. Sorry, Laura. You go.
I think though that uncomfortability that it makes people, I mean, you guys can speak better on how it made men feel, but like I think that uncomfortability is why it's getting bad, like why it's getting a lot of criticism, because people can't handle realizing that they're still part of the problem, rather than taking it on board and going, oh shit, yeah, that I am still part of the problem, and challenging themselves. They just can't handle it. So instead they turn it outward, and that's what it is. Because I imagine there's quite a lot of people that have seen this film, and because there's a lot of like virtue signaling that goes on, where somebody's like, I'm an ally, or I'm a, I support Black Lives Matter, I support women, all this kind of stuff, but then their actual actions don't match up to what they're saying. Like I feel like this film, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that feel very attacked because they're like, yeah, I'm such a feminist and I'm so for women and all this and all that, and then if they watch this, they're going to be like, oh wait, I do some of those things, and then they're going to feel really attacked. Like especially Jeffrey, who is like, for all intents and purposes, for the most part, he's a nice guy, but he's still threatening. Like even before he gets crazy, he's still threatening. Like when she's on her own in that house with him at the start, that's still threatening, and that's what women go through every single time they're on their own. Like that tension all the way through it is what women go through every time they're on their own with a man that they don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I like one of the things that you're talking about, people reflecting on things and thinking, and we've seen a lot of these examples. I think that largely the majority of people on the street who you ask, they will immediately tell you that they don't believe in like violence, particularly long perpetrated like violence of men against women. But then you have that sliding scale, and the film touches on a number of these things. You have your scene with the priest where he looks at what Jessie Buckley's character might have done that drove her husband to these actions, and he mentions that he hit her. Oh, what did you do? Sometimes men do hit women, and it's not a thing to be encouraged, but did you give him a chance to apologize? And that's one layer of reflecting. I think some of the things that I reflected on most when I was watching it is some of the, I'm not sure I'm using the term microaggressions correctly or not, or gaslighting, but some of the almost emotional abuse that the character goes through early on, with the threats not of violence against herself. We'll come to it in fairly short order. When her relationship with her husband is breaking down, and he is clearly upset, and that is a reaction that someone would have. And he says, I'm going to kill myself, and I'm going to kill myself, and it will be your fault. And what does he want? What he wants is for the relationship not to end, and it's exerting that control not through the methods of physical violence or intimidation or financial control, which is, another thing that people have to deal with, but that emotional guilt that's basically saying, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to take this action, which will effectively physically hurt me, will end my life, but I am making you responsible for this negative action on me because I'm kind of making you a prisoner in this. And I have known people who had a great deal of time for growing up, who I've seen not in such actions, but like when they've had arguments with partners or when things have been going badly in their relationship, they will take it out with themselves with some violent action to like injure themselves, whether it's get into a fight or punch a wall or stop taking care of themselves as well. And there is a very difficult line where that is a reaction of upset and grief of that person, or intentionally or otherwise it is an act of controlling that other person to get them to establish a status quo again and come back to how it was before. And I think that's something that it's less commonly brought up, but it was something that I've definitely seen in the past and hadn't thought about it in that light historically. Sorry, I rambled on there.
Kevin from the Harry Enfield show, that's his technique. I'll kill myself. I'll show him.
Yeah.
See, that's when you have to be like Bender, though. Do a flip.
Do a flip. I'm gonna jump off there. Do a flip. No, I'm gonna land on a fence. Oh, you idiot! You fucked that right up. But I think with Alex Garland, like, he's a good filmmaker, and I think good filmmakers are willing to present this subject matter in a way that does sort of make you think. Jordan Peele does it, but obviously with race as a factor. Nia DaCosta did it with Candyman as well. So, as a good filmmaker, like I find it was that a lot of the subject matter. Oh, but yeah, it's fine to look at it and take it for what it is and go, it means this, this, and this, and it's ridiculous. I'm not into it. Fine, whatever. But I think it poses a lot of interesting questions as well. And there's never not a good time to have these conversations, especially like right now. The week it came out, the week Men was released, like all the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff was going down as well, which is like a perfect example of something where these gender roles, it's such a complicated matter, but also everyone seems to have an opinion on it, where it's just like, these are people we don't know, and for some reason we're deciding to just all side with one person and it's almost like dangerous the way people are almost I know it's a court case and of course evidence is being put forward, this is probably a discussion to have another time, but I just find it strange. I just find it bizarre that, like, without even a question, just the whole public and media have just all swayed sort of in one direction. And I've not really been following it, so I'm not one to comment on the actual content of it, but I'm just saying, just from an outsider looking in, that felt like really problematic to me. And I don't know, it felt like this film, the fact that it's come out this week as well, I think it's probably going to strike a nerve. It should.
The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff is really like problematic, like the way the switch in the way like Amber Heard's being treated, because I feel like Amber Heard's getting it worse than Johnny Depp did before before we even found out that she was like lying about certain things. But there's a YouTuber called Princess Weeks, and she does video essays and stuff on, like, she does all sorts of video essays. She does about race, she does about sexuality, she does about, and it's all in media and like in anime and stuff. But she did it was like an hour YouTube video about talking about the Amber Heard stuff, and it is really like it's wild.
It is wild. It is wild.
It's
and it just
wild.
shows like the prejudices that like people seem to have, or things that people confirm with little to no persuasion. you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Just like just saying, yeah, she's insane, isn't she? And I'm like, what? I don't know. I don't know. Is she? I don't know. Were you married to her? Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand. But yeah, I think the point I'm trying to make is that this is probably a good time for a film like this to come out and sort of ask these questions. And again, you might want to just watch it for nice visuals and an interesting what would you say, a siege film? It's like a siege film, isn't it? It reminded. I watched Dog Soldiers last week, and I was a bit. That reminds me of Dog Soldiers a bit. Just like, don't come in my cottage.
Glue.
Get a super glue. Throw a hot pan of water on him. But yeah, I think
you can watch these things and you can take them in whatever method you want, and that's true of films. That's true of music. That's true of television. It's true of art. It could be anything. You can appreciate things on whatever level you want. You can choose to pay attention to the messages that the people that created them intended. You can enjoy them for their surface, for the surface aesthetics and the production that goes into them. One thing you get to choose as an individual is what you take away from something. I don't think that the messages behind this film would reduce the really base level enjoyment of it as just a scary piece of entertainment.
I also thought, like, despite the fact that some of these characters played by Rory Kinnear are obviously assholes, but also like fairly like well written characters in terms of representing things that I don't know if I've seen in film from like antagonists or anything like that. So you've obviously got one guy, Jeffrey, who's like the bumbling, slightly awkward, yes, a bit threatening, but also like he's the kind of guy who's like, oh, can't say anything these days, don't know what I should do in a situation where I'm with a woman on my own. I mean, oh God, it's PC gone mad, that sort of guy. And then obviously a man of the cloth who's like clearly taken his own sort of prejudices into a role like that, and not, he's gone all these years and he's still not learned anything like that. And then obviously the manipulative ex-husband as well. I just know I felt like it really represented a wide variety, a really interesting cross-section of dodgy blokes.
Yeah. So there are other people in there, not a huge amount of actors. Papa Esidu plays the husband, James Marlowe. We get a few scenes with him, and we actually get like quite a big dramatic, like theatrical sort of scene between him and Jessie at one point. And then there's Gail Rankin, who plays Riley, who's the person who only exists inside a phone. Oh no, she's at the end. She gets out of the phone at the end.
She is Sheila the She-Wolf in Glow. If you guys watch Glow,
so she is. Oh, brilliant.
Who else we got? Sarah Toomey. There's two police officers. Yeah,
She's the other police officer, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it starts with Harper Marlowe is played by Jessie Buckley, and she is breaking up with her husband. Or breaking up with her husband. She's serving him the papers. You've been served.
I feel like
I think she says to him, don't she? I want a divorce.
Wait, one at a time. What?
Yeah.
She does say it. I think she says it in the bedroom. I think she says to him, I want a divorce.
Yeah.
There's something really something about the visuals in this scene. It's like
the red
it's
light,
sort of like golden hour, like sun-kissed. It's raining outside. It's like, is it like in London?
Can you see the HMS thing, or what's it outside the window?
How much is their rent? Jeez.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah. I feel like it opens with her staring out the window with her mouth open. It's just like she's really tired, like a big yawn. and then the guy just like falling outside the window, and it's like he looks in and goes, I recognize you. Oh hey.
Yeah.
And then
drops off the window.
I was kind of hoping at that point, I wonder if this is just, it literally is a Raining Men film.
Yeah.
Then it's like raining from the sky.
It's raining men.
Yeah, because in this
first
visual we have, we don't get the conversation about the divorce until a later flashback. Right now, we just see that she's in the kitchen with a bloody nose, kind of having a cup of tea, looking upset out the window, and then lo and behold, bloody chap falls by. He looks He looks as surprised about it as she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's cleaning the
Which is
window
interesting 'cause-
upstairs. Slips off.
Well, this is
He
the
was
thing. You
doing
kind
a
of like.
TikTok.
He was doing a TikTok. Silly bugger.
He was
They get
Rod
paid
Hull in it. He
loads.
was like, "Oh, Ariel's gone. Better go and fix that slippy roof. It's raining."
I think he was trying to get like a signal on his phone.
Yeah.
Jesus, where's that 5G? What?
Shit. What's interesting though is like this scene, you kind of from these initial visuals, you're kind of like, okay, I can kind of understand what's kind of happening here. But the way it kind of just keeps adding more to it throughout the film, more context.
It looks
I
like
thought-
they're in Mars or on Mars even. Like
They're
the
in
red
Total
light
Recall.
makes it look like in Total Recall land. Yeah. Which is
When
why
he-
her face is so big at the start.
when he falls down at the bottom, he
Like
lands on the
Hammer.
floor. His eyes start coming out.
Yeah. So Jessie Buckley gets in the car. She's like, had enough of Mars. She drives to Earth, and Earth is like really nice and green, and it's full of folk music. And also we get lots of. Actually, we get a really nice visual. Alex Garland's always got really nice visual, but it reminds me of the slow mo effects in the Dread film, where it's like really saturated, iridescent colors, and we get the dandelion seeds floating across the grass. You got little.
Yeah.
I can't remember where to go, but the seeds everywhere. I think it's a metaphor for semen or man seed or something. It's just splashing everywhere. It's all white getting on stuff.
And
But
you
it looks really nice.
get it all over the place when you blow them as well.
Yeah.
It's getting in your mouth.
Doing that.
I breathed it in.
Yeah, she does that a bit later on. No wonder she gets freaking
I
kecking
noticed.
on it.
So when she's driving, there's like she's driving to a village, a place called Coxon. Is that a real place?
What's it
I don't
called?
know.
Coxon?
Coxon.
I hope it's called Coxon.
First thing I noticed,
Is
she's
it really
definitely
called
London,
Coxon? I thought you were joking.
Coxon.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
she's definitely doing the speed limit. I just kept thinking, bloody hell! If I was behind her, I'd be like, put your foot down, Jesus.
Well,
tell you what, as
those
well-
country roads are all like national speed limit, and they're insane. They're 1.5 cars width. They're like so many bends,
Yeah,
and people just fly around them. They're deadly.
it's
Yeah,
so
people do
awkward
cane
when
it,
you.
and I always have someone behind me when I'm doing it as well. Because I'll be on a
Oh
country
yeah,
and I'm like,
pressure.
I don't live around here, and the sat nav's like, in an undisclosed distance, you must turn. I'm like, okay, gotta be ready. And then someone comes absolutely hammer down up behind you at 70.
They do
and
the,
it's
they
like,
do
oh,
the drive.
no.
They do the drive every single day. They're like Colin McRae, like knowing exactly what
Yeah.
what turns to
They
do.
come past, they've got a
Drifting around
blindfold
the
on. They've
corner.
got a blindfold
Yeah.
on, and a guy next to them with a map go very long,
Yeah.
easy, medium, right, maybe. Sega
They
rally.
do a belly
Get out of the way, Andy.
barrel roll.
Yeah.
Barrel roll.
Um,
But this place looks lovely. It looks like a nice
Oh, it's
place
so
to
nice, yeah.
escape anything. You know, it's like a
Where is it?
country
Like-
house, a manor. Does it say
Norwich?
something Hertfordshire? They say
Oh, okay.
Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So
Hertfordshire.
in lovely rural British countryside, the only thing that takes me out of this scene is no one's got a Ford Fiesta that clean. No one's got any car that
I
clean,
did think that.
unless you
That
picked
did-
it up out the showroom on the way. It's
That
just on a
crossed my
3-hour
mind as
drive.
well.
Just on a 3-hour drive. Don't tell me it got
Where's
some
all the
titties.
Where's all the Ginster's pasty crumbs on the passenger seat? Just me.
Yeah, one of your chocolate buttons has fallen like out of your hand when you were reaching for the bag, and it's gone under you, and it's now like you've got a chocolate button that's melted to your jeans and onto the seat.
Yeah.
Nothing you could do.
No way. That car
Yeah.
should be an absolute shit tip.
It was immaculate, that car. I was fuming about it.
Not even an air freshener in. Literally, you've got no like. Oh, the one thing about me that it should be establishing me as a character that I will not personalize a car even in the least.
She's like, I've
Yeah.
driven to Hertfordshire with no shoes on, eating Toblerones.
I mean, it could be a rental. I mean, she lives in London. She probably doesn't own it. She lives in like not even just in London. She lives next to the River Thames in like a flat. Pretty sure
On
she doesn't
Mars.
have a car on
What you-
Mars.
Luke, what do you think you're doing making good points? But-
Yeah,
It's
maybe
a
she has
rental.
rented
It's a
it.
Europe car.
So
whatever
it's a
called.
Europe car,
Yeah.
but she hasn't got snacks on the way. Not even a tin.
Okay, that's not believable.
Also,
I
if
mean,
you're going
she
to-
it's
had
because-
them. She ate them.
She stops.
Maybe
She's one
it's
of the people that
because-
stops at the services, eats, and then puts it all in the bin before she gets back in.
What maniac?
what-
can have
what-
them.
Maybe she
what-
was the real maniac. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it was. That's what they were doing.
All
Look,
this is
she's
inside
really
her
the
head.
maniac.
Yeah.
She deserves all of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was
they were
Look
just
at that
innocent,
psycho with a clean
reasonable
car.
men.
Yeah.
But so it's like
yeah.
it's like an Airbnb scenario, isn't it? You'd take stuff with you as well, wouldn't you? Just to get, you don't know where a local shop is.
She
There
does.
don't appear to be any local shops. You should have like Asda
Pringles.
bags filled to the brim with and Pringles
Meringues.
and like a token bit of
Meringues.
fruit on the top because you're definitely gonna have fruit when you're on one of these holidays.
Caramel apples.
I've had one of my 5 a day. It's just through like 3 inches of caramel.
Punnet of grapes. Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
had 5
yeah,
apples
honestly.
today. Just nibbled the caramel off. Just a bit of skin. Just most of the apple on.
Wow. Yeah, so
she does have, because Jeffrey brings it in, doesn't he, out of a
Yeah.
car?
Yeah,
He
he
brings the
does.
bags in out of a car, and
Oh, yeah,
there
that's
is
right.
stuff in it 'cause he drops it all over the floor.
Because he does the classic man getting things from a boot of a car, like every bag all the way up his arms. All the bags of shopping.
Yeah.
And just one trip. I'll do it in one trip, or I'll do it in one trip.
Oh, like Hercules. Like it is like the labors of Hercules. You're lifting them all up. You're like, you like that bit in is it Infinity War where Thor's like holding the 2 stars apart? He's like,
Oh yeah,
carrying your shopping up the stairs.
Jeffrey. Yeah, so they've done a League of Gentlemen type thing to Rory Kinnear, haven't they? Where they've made his like.
He looks
Teeth.
like Tim Nice but dim.
Big old teeth.
I was going to say that. Nice, but dim.
Yeah.
Tim Nice but dim.
I mean, he essentially is Tim Nice but dim. His character. He's middle class. I'm gonna suppose is a Tory voting person, and he I don't know. He wears the costume design is kind of spot on. He wears exactly what I imagine someone like him would wear. The fleecy vest top thing as well when he goes out.
Yeah, fleecy vest
Gilet.
top, got a hat. Yeah, got a gilet.
Yeah,
Wellies.
yeah. His house looks great though. He gives us a little tour around the house. Says like, "Here's the." I mean, it looks like an expensive Airbnb. Like we stayed in one that's quite nice, but this is like next level. It's like a cottage, isn't it? It's
For
like a
2
really nice
weeks
garden.
as well, but that's been
I forgot she also before she goes in, she eats an apple.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
has
Yeah,
one.
she does.
Has one out of the garden, and that's just. Oh no! Mustn't do that. Scrumping, you see.
Scrumping. He says
Have
scrumping.
you
twice.
ever eaten a raw apple like that? A raw apple. Have you eaten an
I eat a
uncooked
lot of
apple
raw
before?
apples.
I only have caramel apples, which I don't know if that classes as raw. But I mean like an apple straight from a tree or something like that. We used to have an apple tree, and we used to pick them, look at them, and go, "I'm just going to get one from the shop." These are pretty weird.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
They didn't know you lived in the decadent West. Oh, no.
Well, they're just like they're all weird looking. They're full of worms. A lot, like they do have like wormholes in them. So you constantly
Were
think
they crab apples?
They were pretty crap. That's why I didn't eat them.
Very good. Joke of the show.
I don't know what kind of apples they were, but they were kind of small and
Yeah.
brown and
Yeah, they might have been crab apples because they're apparently poisonous, which is why I've
Yes.
never eaten an apple
Only
straight from a tree.
crabs can eat them.
yeah.
Crabs
I think-
actually really well designed to have apples if you think about it. They are shorter than trees, but if they could climb up there, you could just
Snip them off.
pinch them
Yeah.
off. Yeah, snip them off.
That's what they thought. These people before shears were invented, they just pick a crab up from the floor,
Hold it next to the apple.
squeeze it, give it a quick squeeze.
Where are you going? I'm going to the beach. What for? Get some crabs? What are you on about?
Yeah, and that's
Jeffrey,
like symbiosis between crabs and humans. We can lift them up and they can snip the apples down.
Wow.
Did you ever get
Uh,
crabbing
Get the
as a
crab
kid?
out, Barbara. I fancy some apple pie.
He rides it out. Don't know how big it is.
Like a little stick holding it up there.
Yeah. Have you been crabbing as a kid? When you get like the bucket, like a
Chuck a
sandcastle
little line in there and you fish them out crab line in.
Yeah.
What'd you put? A little bit of bacon.
Something on the end. Yeah.
How do
Little-
crabs know they're like bacon?
uh,
Crab could go
I
all
mean,
its
it's-
natural life and never meet a pig. Let
I've
alone a
seen
cooked
SpongeBob.
one.
They eat burgers.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's also
yeah,
a good point.
True. Yeah.
Mr. Crabbles owns a whole burger chain.
Yeah.
Crabs. I actually
That's how they
understand.
only like bacon.
I understand crabs more than spiders and predators. crabs, you can kind of see their mouths. I just don't understand how spiders eat. If I could just work that one thing out, I'd be much happier in my life because they don't have like a mouth.
Aren't crabs
did it-
just like armor spiders? They're like king and armor king. Crabs are just armor spiders.
Yeah. I forgot about King and Armor King. They were two different people.
Yeah.
Armor King should get his own stick, really.
I think Armor King is King's
I'm also
teacher.
king. But I'm king. Okay, I'm Armor King.
Prince. We've gone off topic.
Sorry.
So,
So she eats the apple. She eats an apple, goes in. Jeremy? He looks like a Jeremy.
Jeffrey.
Jeremy. He
Yeah.
says, no scrumping. And then he kind of leaves it to it. And as he leaves, Jessie gets on the phone and then says to her friend, he's a very specific kind of person. So I think the archetype flavor is supposed to be there. Like these are archetypical people, men.
Yeah, and he is, and he has the things that really kind of throw her for a loop is that she's booked the thing in her married name because she's not used to her husband being dead. Yeah. So she's booked it in her married name. Also, that's admin. No one wants that.
No.
So she's booked it in her married name. So she's like, oh, just you, is it? And he also asks if she can play the piano, which she lies about because she can.
Well, to be fair, like what's she gonna say? Not only can I play, but I'm fucking pretty good at it as well.
Yeah,
'Cause when she does play it later on, she's not
Oh,
even
shit,
like she's
so-
like a grade 8 pianist.
Yeah,
Like, she's got
Moonlight
all-
Sonata cracked out.
Yeah.
Was that
So
because
good.
she wanted to like end the interaction with him as quickly as possible? It wasn't like she wanted to get into, oh yeah, I can play piano. Oh, give us a song.
I think it's like don't want to get into it. Want to get him out of the house as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, say what you want.
Yeah, because
like,
he's
self-check-in,
1,000%
but-
one of
Go on, Laura.
he's one of those people that would be like there forever if you just let them. Because I think that's why she didn't make him a brew as well.
Yeah.
'Cause
She
she made
slams the
herself a
door
br-
when he leaves. Oh
yeah.
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 Slam.
Let
Yeah.
the door hit your ass on the way out, Jeffrey. But yeah, he does
No.
something. He goes after the misunderstanding about her name and where's hubby? He says, doesn't he? Where's hubby?
Yeah.
He goes, oh, silly Jeffrey, you stupid idiot.
Gives himself a little burn on the arm.
Yeah.
Gives himself a little burn. Yeah.
little digs, pokes himself in the eye. Yeah. Laura, you're absolutely right. That's the exact type of interaction that you have, that one party is desperate to end as quickly as possible. Even if the other person is trying to be nice, they don't take those cues that it'd be like, oh, this could end a lot sooner for me, if you like. That's why you always choose an Airbnb with a self-check-in. I want a key box.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Isn't it? Yeah.
He says don't bother locking the door because it's certainly very, very safe around here. There's no naked men anywhere.
There's no badman to try and
No.
sneak in here.
Badminton. So she goes for like a ramble, and I think this is the best scene of the entire film, where it really captures that vibe of when you are just kind of going for a random walk and just like jumping in puddles and playing with trees and poking things.
Yeah.
And
Because when you do have those random moments as well, those random moments of uncertainty when you're on a walk, don't you? Where you're a bit like,
get
oh,
yourself
where am
freaked
I?
out.
Or what
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that over there? What was that noise? Even though it's the middle of the day, you're still a bit like, woo.
And it captures the perfect fear when you were singing out loud and you thought you were alone, and you realized, oh god, someone was
That-
stood right there.
That pretty much happened to me today. That exact thing. I was singing Kate Bush while walking up the stairs, and I was thinking,
Walking up the
acoustic.
stairs.
acoustic. I was like, the acoustics are amazing, like just standing on the stairs. And I kept doing it. And then the whole time, a postman was like struggling to put something through the letterbox downstairs. So he must have heard everything.
No,
'Cause
it's
I
not
was even-
so bad when it's someone you know. Like if
Even
your
doing a
daughter
Kate-
had been in.
I was even doing the
Yeah.
warble thing. Running up that hill. Like that.
Window cleaners there, falling down from the house above. I saw you
Yeah.
when he like catches eyes of her. That's because he caught her singing. I just
Yeah. Were you singing? He looked like he was singing. He can't have been singing. Yeah.
So this
The
is an
most
amazing. It feels like I think I saw Mark Kermode say this, but most of the film feels like a fairy tale, and this little walking section feels like going for a walk into the woods kind of a feeling. It's amazing. It's really well put together. Like,
And
solid
so
filmmaking.
authentically done as well. Like, I think great filmmaking, because those of us in this country, we can go on walks like this in this country. And I think for anyone who doesn't live in the UK, like, watch this. I think perfectly recreated, especially when it even starts to rain. Like, it is sense perfect. I could have imagined being there and feeling that rain and the soundscape that's behind it. It's spot on.
The only
That
weird
is
thing
exactly
is
what it's like.
it starts to rain and she hides under a tree and starts to wait. And I was thinking, it's never
Shouldn't
going
do
to end.
that.
It's never going to end. You just need to.
Can't do that in the UK, can you?
Also, lightning. That's lesson one they teach you. Do not talk
Also
to
lightning.
strangers.
Also,
And then
lightning.
lightning will get you if you hide under a tree in a thunderstorm.
Yeah. It always happens. Always gets under a tree. It's looking for people under a tree.
Guaranteed.
Under a tree there.
It paints you like a target. That's where lightning looks.
Yeah.
But she finds a beautiful tunnel that's in the back of Ben's background.
Is it
here.
beautiful? It's so long. I don't know how.
This reminds me of.
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, like, Luke, you played Days Gone. Horrible going into a tunnel and Days Gone. Just reminded me of that. Just like, oh god,
You
do I
have no idea what you're going to find when you're in there. But this tunnel, like, it felt. I don't know if it's a real place or if they'd somehow digitally made the exit look further away. Because it's like in the middle of a mountain or something.
I went on a cycle like a few weeks ago, and I went through a tunnel like this, and it's unbelievable like how pitch black it can get when you're in the middle of the tunnel. Like, I couldn't see my hands. I was walking, and there was some I could see some people coming the opposite way
on the handlebars, surely.
On the handlebars,
He was doing no hands at the time, literally. Oh, got no hands.
Whoa!
Well, fall off.
I could see people coming towards me, which was weird enough because you're like, there's people, but like, I can't really identify them. As soon as I got closer, a dog barked at me in the pitch black. Shit my pants.
God, that's terrifying.
Should have gone on the offensive, then. You should have just like screeching as you rode through that tunnel.
But she does like a, huh? I mean, as we all do. If you ever find yourself in an echoey place, you try out a note first. Huh? She starts with the root note. She's a piano player, obviously. She's grade 8, I think. Actually, no, she starts off with like she starts off with a root note, and then she starts to do arpeggios underneath it. And I gotta say, the soundtrack, we haven't talked about this yet, is epic. Like, it's so good.
It's really, really
good.
And
this bit where these vocals start to layer up, it's so creepy and yet so nice to listen to.
Yeah, it's really like haunting. The only slight distraction was I was thinking about that scene from The Grinch. Hello, how are you? I asked you first. I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. But it isn't the Grinch shouting back at her that she's an idiot. She is horrible Crowman sort of core at her.
Did you guys notice on the top of the tunnel roof, there's like so the top of the tunnel roof is like stained, but there's like 4 like long stains that look like shadows of like men.
Willies.
Like right over the top of it. Yeah, Willies, that's it. There's also just a big cock and balls spray painted on the side. Which I don't know if you know.
This imagery is a bit heavy-handed by Alex Garland. What's it called? Men?
I was about to
say,
say,
that's
just a penis on the wall.
Now I think about it, like clean car is one thing, a graffiti-less tunnel like that as well. That's another one. Now I think if it's really taken me out of it. Like,
they've rented
how is anyone meant to know whose mom has slept with whom if it's not written on the? If it's not written.
I remember going through a tunnel once and it said "Inhale my chicken," and that little number.
The one that suited me. I realised in the digital age I could find out who this is. Sorry if I'm about to dox you, but in the 80s and 90s on the underpass in Tamworth on the way to the cinema, there used to be a famous bit of graffiti that said "Lisa is a tramp," to which another author had passed Lisa Who, and the original poster had confirmed Lisa Outram. Now, I never knew as a child who Lisa Outram was or if she was indeed a tramp. Let's have a look here. I'll try and find out while we continue.
Page 1 news. She's a tramp.
Wait, yeah, what are you doing? Are you Facebooking her or what?
Yeah, I'll
I
look
was
right
saying.
now.
Yeah, Outram's not a real name. That feels like I thought it was gonna be like a Simpsons style Bart prank phone call joke.
Yeah, that's what
Lisa
I was
who-
ready for that.
No, there's only one Lisa Outram that I can see on
She's not gonna be on
Facebook. And
Facebook if she's a tramp.
well, she's
That proves it.
she's younger than me, so unless she was a tramp in the past, then before she was born.
There's different meanings to the word tramp as well, right?
Yeah, I
Some
was
people
thinking
might
like
think-
Yeah.
homeless. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
I was thinking homeless. Yes. I was.
I mean, what are the options? Is homeless or like?
Hoa!
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
think. See,
Yeah,
I
didn't
don't
even think of that.
I thought
Poor.
it mean like unbrushed, like you tramp. I think it's maybe because like when my mum would like, oh Keely, you tramp, brush your hair, or like
Yeah.
whatever my mum would say. She was very mean, my mum.
Or if like one of your mates steals one of your chips.
My
"Oh,
name's
you
Luke."
tramp."
You tramp.
Yeah.
My name's Luke. Yeah, so what is it? It's like Crow Man. We only see him from really far away, and he just starts doing a weird bumbly run. Do we know? Was this someone completely different? Because it's obviously not the naked guy.
I thought it was naked guy.
It is the naked guy, but
It
he's
is
just
the
got
naked
makes
guy.
clothes
that
on then.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's got clothes on then. So it's this pre-nudity.
Mm.
Yeah, he strips
Well, he had
down
to
a
take
little
him
bit.
off to. I mean, that's why he's completely got no hair as well. Aerodynamic. He has to try and catch up with her, get them clothes off. He's actually
these
just a
fucking
cyclist who
clothes
fell off on the other side of the bridge.
It's like, help, please. Yeah, to begin with, I guess, like before he catches up with her, so he has to strip down. He's got the least aerodynamic clothes in the world. He's got like MC Hammer parachute pants, like a wingsuit, effectively. It's like it's really slowing me down.
A massive heavy tweed jacket. Come on.
He should have
Come
waited. He
here.
could have been like the genie in Aladdin. He's like 10,000 years.
But running
Give
away.
you such a
No.
crack in the neck.
But no,
She just takes off. She's missed out on 3 wishes.
She does
Yeah.
take off. I mean, I think. What would you do in that scenario?
I
mean,
would
know.
take off. I would literally take. In fact, I have taken off in the same situation. I remember being at not quite as long a bridge tunnel as this, but before I went into a tunnel in this like industrial area, some lads, let's call them, which are like men but younger, they were like waiting outside the tunnel. And as I went in, my bag and work stuff on, I saw 2 of them start to stand at the end, and the others run around to the other side, as if to try and like trap me inside.
oh, some
Oh,
blooming
I
yobbos trying to
I
get you.
legged it so fast.
Yobbos.
Yeah, and made it through.
See,
I survived, obviously.
my instinct is fight, not flight.
What as
So
well?
I
Like
probably would have
That's a
waited for
That's
him.
a difference
like-
between you and Luke.
there was like 8
No,
of
like
them.
with a gang.
Lads,
with a gang, yeah,
not-
fair enough.
we're-
With a
We're
gang,
not
I would
talking
have
about
run off.
normal people, lads,
But if just
yobbos.
Blooming yobbos.
yeah, so a gang, like I would have run away. But if it was like one guy running towards me, I probably would have waited and then just like
Well,
Boshed him.
if it was,
You'd have
if it was
chosen
one,
the
if it was one
battleground.
guy, yeah, I would have gone back the way I came, and then waited for him to come round, and then just
Then
gone
mugged
over-
him.
Then mugged him. Yeah,
mugged
that'll
him,
show him.
yeah.
Oh, that's it. Go on the offensive. You should have run towards the ones that are at the side and gone, see you lad, your mates have run. Give me your wallets. They'd have gone, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Give me your wallets, all 8 of you.
Give
Yeah.
me your wallets right now. Or I suppose
best
we've got no
fight-
choice.
Best fight I've ever seen avoided. It was outside. Once again, lovely Tamworth story. Outside a nightclub. This guy was getting some trouble. These yobbos were trying to pick a fight with him, and he was like, all right then, suppose if we're gonna fight, if you don't mind giving me a minute. And this guy just started like limbering up. He was doing some proper
Wow.
stretches. He was like cricking his neck. He was really getting ready. He said, okay, ready. If we're gonna fight, let's do it then. And these guys were like backing off. You're lucky, mate. You're just lucky that them bouncers over there would probably, if they noticed us being in a fight,
Probably
Stop
if
it,
they
I'll call the
notice. Hey,
police. but you're just very lucky. And he's like, no, said you wanted to fight me. No, now I'm
Yeah.
ready. But this could have been you, Luke. Mugged
Well,
him.
I was in a similar story in Mansfield. I was in Mansfield town centre, just staring around cornlessly like I normally do. And one of the guys they were called the Millennium Crew, if you believe it. He came over, and then he was like, "What are you looking at?"
Millennium Crew. Was it Robbie Williams? What's going on?
He was They were like they were inline skaters as well, so you knew they were hard.
The Millennium Crew.
Inline skaters as well, not like.
He came over to me and he was like, "What are you looking at?" And I honestly didn't know. I was just spacing out, and I tried to explain my position. I'm a gormless. This is my natural way I look around. And then, as he was essentially started on me, this chavvy guy, sorry, nothing against chavs, a lad came over to me as well. And the Millennium Crew guy said to him, "All right, mate." And then he said, "I'm not your mate." And then they got into it with each other. And as they were just like squaring up, I just kind of slipped away. And I took their wallets.
Yeah.
And I took their bloody wallets, mate. That's what you
Did the other youth come up and say, "You Millennium Crew? I don't think Y2K bug exists, mate." And he was like, "Oh, fucking yeah, that's my whole
Excuse
thing."
me, are you Millennium Crew? Yeah. Well, we're the Millennium Crew. All right.
I think he's still in the Millennium Crew, 2022.
The Millennium Crew.
The Millennium Crew. What a record. What an album.
Yeah. Anyway, so this guy chases her out the tunnel.
And she pegs it and misses her turn because she sort of came down like a little, like a cut-in, I guess, that came from near the house.
Misses a turn. Sat navs in the countryside. It's never worked.
Never
Turn
works.
left in 100 yards. When?
And she finds herself at a brick wall, like Wile E. Coyote. Like a brick wall's been painted in the thing, and you can't get out.
It looks like a military base or something. Like it's like a closed off door thing on the tunnel wall.
Been bricked up, so she just sort of clambers up the hill because she hears like the cacoring in the distance.
Yeah.
She climbs up, finds like an abandoned house, which is still it's a tense scene. It's quite spooky because it's one of those things, years of watching films, you're kind of semi-trained to as looking at the corners of the screen, seeing, is there something there? Is something coming behind her?
Is there a Rory there? Two Rorys at once on opposite sides of the screen. Looking their heads in.
Two cheeky little Rorys. Are we supposed to think that Rory Kinnear's face would be if Harper stumbled across any women in this movie? Would they also have Rory Kinnear's face?
She meets
because she
meets a woman or two, doesn't she? And they're fine.
A women.
Oh yeah, of course. The police
yeah,
woman.
the police officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
So she gets to the abandoned farmhouses, and then she's like, "Oh, thank God for that." And then she looks, and it's like a really pretty, post-apocalyptic looking farmhouse. She goes to take a picture on her phone, and that's when she spots the little naked fucker right in the photo.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Loud and proud. Yeah.
Well, proud.
Standing there like a meerkat watching over the prairies.
Was this, do you reckon Rory Kinnear did this legit, got naked, or do you reckon he had a stunt dong?
Stunt dong. I mean, it looked pretty spot on to me. What I've imagined many times in my head.
Yeah.
Oh, Rory.
When I watched Black Mirror episode 1, I was like, yeah, that's the kind of penis that was going in that pig.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Fuck the pig.
Yeah.
You see him talking to James Bond
as an absolute pervert. We need someone who's willing to put themselves in these horrendous situations. Rory, sure.
Come on, Rory, get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just standing there, naked as the day, looking a bit sandy, a bit muddy.
Yeah, it's like covered in scratches and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's them brambles. He'll get you in the countryside. You got to be careful.
Then Brambles ripped all his clothes off as well.
Yeah,
that's it. Because she went up through the bushes. Maybe he just found like an even thornier route. Oh, is that blackthorn? Well, she must have come this way. I'm gonna ask these directions. I'm gonna have to go through.
That was that sound, that cawing sound. Ah! Good spiked.
See, what he did is he went through the Snow White forest where the trees were all grabbing him, like just taking his clothes off as he was going.
Yeah.
Officer, honestly, I'm not a stalker / I'm not a naked stalker. The thorns just ripped all my clothes off. That's okay. That's a likely story.
So I let him go in a bit. He's like, yeah, it was the Snow White forest. Aha, of course.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to say a word either, does he? He's a mute as well.
Yeah. So she just kind of walks briskly away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
she goes back to the house, doesn't she? And then she video calls a mate. I don't know if she to tell her exactly like what happened. There was a naked bloke, and then there's the bit where she's walking around the house, and it's kind of like the Austin Powers scene where whatever they pick up or move is in the way of Austin Powers' penis.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like standing
Jokes.
behind a watermelon and
eating a sausage on a fork.
very, very tastefully done. Is this the bit when whenever she seems to mention certain things to a friend, like whereabouts she is exactly?
Oh yeah.
A little Rory, like the phone goes Event Horizon. She gets a little bit of Rory
Yeah.
Kinnear, like a like, and it goes all
That's good
doolally. Yeah.
That was quite creepy, but like to the point where you'd be
Yeah.
like, that was beyond strange. It wasn't just like, oh, that was a bit weird. It's like,
That isn't that. There's a difference between bad signal and brief connection with hell.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tell that to Vodafone.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was every time she like turned from a window, and then
Yeah.
literally just as she turned, he was there, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
He was looking in the house like he wanted to rent it or buy it. Oh yeah,
That's lovely, isn't it?
there's a little piano there.
How much on there be a bit?
Got a piano in there. Come on, man, hell.
Yeah,
And he-
I like
and
it.
he-
I like
and he-
his little pensive,
Oak,
curious face.
oak fireplace, and this is where we'll come to it to close off later on. She says, look, if there's any wrong uns around here, let me know and I'll chop them up with Chekhov's axe back there. She goes, Chekhov's axe? I didn't know there was an axe here. Yeah, it's just there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Yeah,
under the sign that says Chekhov's axe, but we'll come to it. But I was surprised by the.
But I don't
the axe.
think that axe was there before when she first went in. I think that was there after she'd been for a walk, because I think Jeffrey has been back in the house and cut up
Yeah,
some wood for her.
because you said there was wood
That's
and
what I
plenty
took it
more if
as.
she needed some more. He mentions it, but maybe put in
Oh,
some
yeah.
more. This is
Good
definitely
point.
going to be worth a second watch. I think there's more to pick up on this. I think there's a lot of subtle detail we probably didn't get. And again,
So
the
again,
perils
like
of a
one
new
of those,
film in the cinema.
those-
Can't make notes.
one of those subtle like microaggressions, if that is the case, of someone who like doesn't respect her sort of privacy or anything like that, and he just like lets himself in and decides to
Yeah.
cut up some wood. So yeah, how does she see naked man in the garden? Does she just turn and go?
Jen just steps out the
Yeah.
front door, right, and he's just there, like,
yeah.
All right. But he didn't say that. Yeah, when she goes back in and locks the door, he tries to reach for the letterbox.
Yeah.
Like
That's like me when I go home and I'm first in Alaska before I can unlock the door.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love doing that. Drops. It's like Marv in Home Alone when he puts his shoe through the letterbox and drops it. Oh shit! Pulls it back through.
Puts his head through the cat flap. It's got the gun
Hello.
to his head.
Just
Hello.
Jessie Buckley there. Jessie Buckley there
Yeah.
with a BB
That
gun.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It would have been a lot less threatening if that hand would have just gone through and it would have gone, eh, eh, eh.
yeah,
Yeah.
stroked. That's
Literally,
a bit
this
later,
guy
it's a
is
bit
never
strokey.
never going to put his hand through a letterbox ever again. He might not get the opportunity to, but my God, you know, when you're like, I might not put my hand through that letterbox. There might be a dog there. You know, if you had a paper round, you didn't want the dog to bite you. This horrific. I was like,
Yeah, it gets brutal.
Yeah.
It is maybe that because it goes all right this time. Maybe
Yeah.
he's get a bit of hubris.
It
He
only
does
needs
it
to go
again.
wrong once, and then you'll never do it again.
Then you'll have the thing on.
Yeah.
You'll have a hand made of wham bar before you know it. But for now, it's fine. She just calls the police, and they
Wham.
come and they arrest him. And this is where she meets a female police officer who goes, "We've got him now, but that was a bit spooky. Dusty bloke coming in."
and the police officer Rory Kinnear is a proper Southwest bloke, where he's just like, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, he's a bit nutto, and yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Felt very Hot Fuzz in this moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true.
And I think it's time to the church. Church time.
It is church time. Do
Yeah,
we have
there's
a
not
little
much to do,
flashback
Andy.
in between?
Hmm?
Do you have a
Yeah.
flashback in between where we get I guess
Probably.
more of a reveal of the husband saying, yeah, if you want a divorce, I'm going to kill myself and it'll be
Hmm.
your fault. Really, like, it almost theatrical sort of Shakespearean soliloquy, sort of monologue scenes almost, with the delivery of from the husband in particular, who goes through like really like single reel emotional performances.
What a great negotiating tactic, though, right? I'll kill myself. I will. Oh, you convinced me.
I actually really didn't enjoy it, but Jessie Buckley's response to that, initially kind of like shocked, and then like
Angry.
offendedly sad. Like, just how could you even bring that up? And then like just kind of angry at him at the end. I know it was really good. She did a lot within, like, I think it was about 2 minutes, that scene, but it felt like a lot was being processed on screen. It was really good.
Really great emotional scene, and this is what I was saying. I think this is one of the bits that some of the things that you don't see, as much as you see the violence and the misogyny, that part of the, a different form of abuse. Like, what can you expect someone to do if you threaten things against yourself? It's an emotional controlling technique to have someone say, well, you've got to love me, otherwise I will kill myself. I think it's a really interesting take, and I've definitely known people and have seen examples of that in relationships that you've seen, which is it's horrendous when you reflect on it and see it played out.
In terms of like a technique to sort of give us some background and understanding to these two characters without needing to show us much, is just that. It's just that reaction. You understand why she obviously wants to divorce him, why he seems to have this manipulative technique to try and, without needing to show us all the problems that have come previously. We understand in that moment that, got to get out of there, or him out of there. Get out, mate.
I'd certainly divorce him.
It's so good as well, because like as an audience member, you're shouting at her, like, well, tell him to, like, well, I was anyway. Well, not physically shouting, because I probably would have got kicked out of the cinema, but you're like, do it. You're like, just tell him to do it then. Just tell him, do it. Okay, then do it. If you're gonna do it, do it. See you later.
But then he does it.
But then
well, he doesn't. I don't think he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
We don't know if he intended to slip or not.
Well, we might as well bring it straight in now, because this plays out in the church, right? Because she sees this flashback before she discusses with the priest, or as she's discussing with the priest at the church, that their argument escalates. He comes downstairs and she's texting her friend Sheila the she-wolf that he's frightening, and he snatches the phone, sees that she's messaging, it goes off. He says, unlock your phone again, I want to read the rest of the messages. And again, another great example of like controlling behavior. You want to see the contents of someone else's phone and those conversations that are about you, not with you. And she refuses to unlock her phone. He hits her. She throws him out of the house. And as she reveals to the conversation with the priest in just a minute, he goes upstairs and forces his way into the flat upstairs with the neighbors. And then the thing that us, the audience, she, the character, never learns is, did he mean to kill himself as he threatened to just a little while ago? Or did he slip? I mean, he looks surprised as he falls past, but we'll never know whether it's just, because falling is quite surprising.
I think that's what's so like relatable about her as well, because even though like I said, like as an audience member, you're like, tell him to just fucking do it then. Like, just get rid of him. You like in real life, you could never be that. You couldn't do that to somebody, because the guilt would weigh so heavily on you.
Yeah.
And that bit when she's saying like she doesn't know if he was trying to get back into the apartment or if he did actually jump. She like obviously she doesn't know. That's what's weighing heavy on her.
Yeah, and it's impossible for her
Because
to know, right? Especially as
she's-
these are
Yeah.
the threats he was making.
she says in the moment he was falling, it looked like he looked at her and he saw her, and she's like, "Would that even be possible? Like if you're falling at that speed?"
I think
So
so.
yeah.
I mean, they'd be blurry, but you'd still see him.
So-
And then he lands. He doesn't land on a nice soft.
Oh yeah,
Bit of
we reveal
grass.
how he landed. It's weird that no one's about. It's like London. It's like right in the River
Yeah,
Thames.
it's
There's
a
no,
weird
like...
sort of. Yeah, did you almost feel like I got the
I
sort
don't
of
know.
like
I don't know if that bit
lockdown
happens,
vibe
but-
from this?
Oh, maybe.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, maybe it's lockdown and everyone's in. You're right. But yeah, he's a bit of a state, isn't he? He's got stuck on the railings.
Well, yeah, I think so. He's broken his ankle, and he's landed like on the. That's horrible, isn't it? Like the foot.
The railing has split his arm in two, and his head's all smashed up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone down myself.
Looks really poorly.
He looks right poorly.
Right poorly. Yeah.
Incredibly poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously when she's telling the priest or vicar, is there a difference?
Well, she has this flashback, and I think we've covered two flashbacks in one. We see one, and we see her, physically screaming in the church, and we see that the vicar kind of pops his head round as a look at her, and then leaves, and then she meets the creepiest Kinnear so far, Marilyn Monroe masked little boy.
Deep
sort of
fake
sex
Kinnear.
doll masks, deep face little boy.
Did they have that mask on him because they're like, it looks pretty naff with his face on a kid. Let's make him have a mask for the most part. Don't even take the
Maybe,
mask off.
His chin is too. It looks like you you do like a face swap app, and it like if you've got a beard, it kind of cuts off the entire bottom of the face because
Yeah,
it doesn't
it really does.
the beard.
That's the
is part of
line.
the face. Yeah,
It just doesn't look good. Like you'd see that and go,
yeah.
we gotta try something else or cut it out completely because
It looks like an Instagram TikTok filter. Like it looks as like not even as good as some of the ones I've seen.
But also, like, it's not a kid's voice; it's Rory Kinnear's voice.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, because it's still Rory Kinnear, but like, he's doing like a bit of a kid's voice, isn't he? Like he's
all right.
Yeah.
all right.
All right, what are you doing? You want to play hide and seek with me?
You're a dickhead.
It kind of makes him creepier
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
obviously he's not that. The boy is not. He's not a kid. He's not a 8-year-old kid. He's clearly like a teenager, like maybe like early teenager, but he's still a teenager, and I think that's what makes it even more creepy because it's like the man that he's going to turn into.
Yeah. Another great thematic thing, isn't it? That like he is a character presented as a young boy, and it's good this interaction between him and the vicar character, because at first it's like, why do you want to play a game of hide and seek with me? Because too old for hide and seek, mate. And then the vicar comes and says, you go home. He goes, piss off to the vicar, and the vicar, he's a cool vicar. He's like, you first. He's like, fuck.
You had me there. You absolutely stitched me.
He's absolutely got me. So I'll go. But then he just does a quick
13,
turn.
mate. Don't play hide and seek. Go and play football, you weird little freak. Go and play
Not
COD.
Not enough people, yeah.
Take the
Go
mask
play COD.
off.
Where'd you get that mask from?
Jesus. You are not growing up right.
It's probably one of the
Something wrong with
Fortnite characters he's dressed as.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be off doing some TikTok dances dressed as a Fortnite, and then he says to her as he's going like, "Stupid bitch," like he'd be like, piece of shit. Don't let him have the last word. Like he's been absolutely schooled by the vicar who told him he had to piss off first, and he's like, "Stupid bitch." If I was that kid, I'd go. If you were, Jessie Buckley, you'd say something to him. You can't let him get away with that.
Yeah.
Just walk up behind him
also
as a grown up,
feel-
kick him in the arse.
I feel like that's this is another bit that will make people really uncomfortable, because even though the vicar tells him to piss off, the vicar's still complicit in the way that he treats Harper, because he scolds him a little bit, but not a lot, and it's clear it's clear that kid is being creepy on purpose with that mask, and like the vicar just sort of excuses that behavior straight after, and he's just like, oh, he's only a kid, he's just messing about. And it's like, well, he's not only a kid, and he's not just messing about because he's learned that from somewhere. And by excusing that behavior and not challenging it, you are complicit in the culture that is ongoing.
Yeah, because he grew up feeling exactly the same, right? That was a fine thing.
His dad has also got a Marilyn Monroe mask constantly.
Yeah.
He's a Batman villain.
No, his dad's got the Frank head, the Frank Sidebottom head. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Almost feels like the boys will be boys sort of attitude that seems to get applied to kids of a certain age and doesn't potentially to girls.
I thought that when those lads were trying to mug me. Oh, boys will be boys. Has he got the
boys
knives
will
down
be
and
boys
stabbed
going
them repeatedly?
Oh well. Let them have their fun, eh?
Let them have their fun. Go on, Dad.
It's only a little knife wound.
Ruffle his hair. Go on then, you little scamp. Have your Jaffa cakes and run.
As he pulls a knife out. Oh, you little silly sausage.
Silly sausage.
You go to the police station, bleeding to death. I'm afraid there's a bit of mischief going on down the lanes.
Yeah.
That's when you should have pulled your spoon out, Luke, and done you ever played knifey spoony before?
Knifey spoony.
That's not a knife. This is a knife. No, that's a spoon. Oh yeah. Of course it is.
I do love when Simpsons references come into the show, obviously.
Increasingly, I've had a lot of Simpsons on my mind. In fact, I was earlier thinking about Frank Grimes for no reason at all. It's Frank Grimes deserved better.
Good old Grimey.
Yeah.
So you're right. So the priest is pretty complicit and excusing of the boy, and then they have this conversation. We have the full reveal of what happened, him falling from the roof and never knowing if it was a suicide or not. And then the priest goes from quite a supportive, if a bit leg feely, character.
That was.
Yeah, it's quite uncomfortable, isn't it?
He's a feely man as well. When she leaves, he likes to rub his fingers on the grains of the bench.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that was weird. That almost felt like he was trying to feel the warmth of where she was sat.
Well, later on, he's doing something else, like he's feeling up the walls and stuff. He's a very touchy priest.
Yeah, he's too touchy. Is this priest? But then he has a bit of a turn.
And he's sexy. I think they're a tag team.
Yeah. Get rowdy. But he kind of says, well, did you give him a chance to apologize? Because he basically then immediately has the flip that it is her fault. She should have let her husband apologize for hitting her. And he says, oh, sometimes men hit their wives. It's not a good thing, but it's also not. Again,
not
it's
a bad thing.
It's kind of minimizing the impact, isn't it? He's like saying, oh,
yeah,
like he's
standing on someone's foot and saying, you should get your foot out from underneath my foot, please.
Yeah.
Like
he tries to minimize the issue. So he says, oh, he did hit you, which is naughty, but he's not Gaddafi, is he? He's not like
yeah.
Did you
Hitler?
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He's not Gaddafi.
He's like, yeah, he's not. It's like, come on now. He has done that. He's not Robert Mugabe. He's not absolutely ruined things. He's just, did you let him say sorry? Which again is minimizing the issue. It's making out that anyone should be forced to forgive anyone for anything if they've done something terrible to you. And but then kind of makes her feel guilty.
She reacts in the best way, which is fuck off and just leaves.
Yeah.
Piece of shit, she says. Piece of shit. She runs away.
Piece of shit. I'm a man of the cloth.
Everyone leaves that church calling that priest a piece of shit.
Maybe that's why he's so touchy. He's a man made of cloth. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
Man of the cloth, love a touch.
I'm just gonna feel your warmth after you leave.
Yeah.
He loves sitting on a warm toilet seat after someone else has been on it.
Oh god, I hate that. That's the worst.
It feels like you're sitting on someone's lap, doesn't it?
Whereas he's like,
I'm like
very good convincing priest energy. He's got this is clearly molded on an actual priest they've met. He's a cross between a great kind of priest model and the spider scientist from Arachnophobia. Quite a softly spoken.
I was just trying to
Yeah.
think, because he's got like the long silvery grey hair, and he's got like a side parting, I think, right? Is that
Lank.
how he looks?
Lank
Yeah.
grey.
He's like got a Prince Valiant, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's slightly
It's
wavy.
funny,
It's definitely.
Yeah.
So she
Um,
tells him to fuck off. Does she go back and pretty much tell Sheila the she-wolf on FaceTime about all the shit that's
Yeah.
going down? And I think
Also, just
Sheila's
to
like
note-
saying, "I'm going to drive there."
That's
Oh,
before,
yeah,
that's after she
yeah.
gets back from the pub. First, she goes
Oh,
to
yeah.
the pub and continues to have an absolutely shit one. So she's
What were you-
been.
What were you going to say then, Luke? Sorry, it felt like you were going to.
Well, I was
You
going to
said-
say, in the church, there's a green man statue, and on the other side
Yeah.
of the statue is like a fertility thing. And we cut back to it quite often, and I'm pretty sure the naked Rory Kinnear is the green man.
Yeah.
And she is the fertility statue, I guess. We get lots of shots of it. It looks very ominous, so it's very important.
Very
but-
ominous, very folk horror.
A lot of the lighting as well. The way the lighting from the London flat suddenly appears in the church, the Mars lighting,
Yeah,
where
that
from
was
suddenly
good.
turns red. That's really effective.
But it's only on one side, isn't it? It's only on the fertility
Yeah.
side that it's red. It's when it's the green man side, it's the green of the surrounding area.
Women are from Mars,
Yeah.
men are from Earth, as we all know.
Yeah. Earthmen.
Yeah, so there's obviously
Mars
a lot of stuff like that. All the fertility stuff, the
Yeah.
nature,
Twigs and
Yeah.
leaves and shit.
twigs
There's
and
tons of
berries,
that.
close up,
Twigs and berries.
Scream.
Some of them in there.
Meat and two veg. Some of them in there belonging to Rory Kinnear.
When she walks into the pub, it is a proper being John Malkovich moment, where you
Mm.
see all of the men
Kinnears.
turn to look at the same
So
time.
all the Kinnears, you've got like there's like a chav Kinnear, bartender,
Snooker Kinnear.
snooker Kinnear.
Snooker
like
Kinnear.
an 80s mullet Kinnear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tip rat Kinnear. And then
like
you've
a
got
kind of troll looking barman kind of Kinnear.
yeah.
Who,
Yeah, and then the police officer comes in as well. All right,
yeah,
and
Have let him go, mate.
I've let him go. No, nothing. No, couldn't charge him. Nothing. No grounds to charge him. I had to let him go.
yeah.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" I suppose you
Jeffrey's
can't-
And this
there
is
and
when
has
she says,
bought her a drink. He's like, no.
Oh, so insistent on buying a drink as well. What did she say? Sorry,
Yeah.
Laura?
it's gross. It's gross. That's when she says to him, but he's been stalking me. And the police officer says to her, you've seen him twice. I'd hardly call that stalking, but we don't know if he saw you. You've just seen him twice.
Yeah.
At the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my
I
post
feel,
box.
I feel the severity of number of times you've seen him. It's true. If you'd seen a person twice and you'd seen them twice, then maybe they're not stalking you in real life. But if both times you've seen that person, they were naked, and the second time they tried to get into your house, I reckon that counts. I reckon
don't
that
know.
counts of seeing someone like 50. That's times 50. That's a multiplier that's come in there when they've been naked and tried to get into your house.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's all in your head. I think you're just over-egging it. It's
Yeah.
Just
nice-
women being hysterical.
He's just a nice naked man. What's wrong with a
I'm
nice
just a
naked
nice
man?
naked man. I mean, take it as a compliment. I would. The
Yeah.
stalking.
You could stalk
Some people
anyone in
don't
this
get
town.
stalked.
No
Yeah.
one's gets to stalk me. You don't see me complaining
Oh,
about
but he loved the attention. Tell you, lonely.
Love a good stalking. That's right. Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Maybe-
He's basically going, yeah. So we couldn't charge him. We gave him a set of trackies and put him on his way.
They're trackies. But they were like, we got some
Some
stuff in the lost
poppers.
property.
He went
Yeah,
straight back
poppers,
through the
straight
same
on.
bush on the way home.
Got some of those bowls poppers that go all the way up to the top. So
Yeah.
she has had enough of it. And again, I think that it is an uncomfortable thing, and when you see it reflected in this film, like the Jeffrey insisting on buying the drink and then taking it out of her hands and telling the barman that her money's no good here, and basically saying that she loses that choice whether she's going to have a drink bought for her or not. He is going to do it.
And it kind of implies that she has to spend time with him now. So
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
bought the drink. And when you get to a pub like that, sometimes you just want to be completely on your own in your own little world with a book or something. So I think she goes home. This is where things kind of start to ramp up in the scary.
The half hour of
scary
madness
part.
is approaching.
Yeah. I feel like there's a tension ramp up, and then it goes to more of a surrealist kind of ending. But I mean, so the stuff, I mean, it really, Alex Garland completely knows. I'm sure he's had to have it at his house many times. There's a real fear with security lights turning on and off in your garden. Like if you go into your gardens and the security light turns off suddenly, it's terrifying. And then when it comes back on, it always feels like something's going to appear or disappear. And the bit where she sees the policeman stood there, she's like, "What's wrong?" And he seems completely not normal, but a bit weird. He just stood there silent. She's like, "What's going on? Something happened," I think she says. And then the security light turns off because it's on a timer, and he just disappears. And I think it comes back on, and it's
the
see
snooker one.
snooker fan running to. Imagine seeing a guy who's into snooker in your
fan.
garden. God,
Snooker in you tonight.
Big break. Yeah, so Jim Davidson, Rory Kinnear. He's got the snooker spider and the triangle. He's legging at her, so she shuts the door.
yeah.
And then it's Buddy.
We hear him. He sounds like a snooker break when he hits the door.
Now, is it at this point that we have Jeffrey turn up again?
Jeffrey.
Sort of, not just yet. There's a really scary stuff happening with the. So she hides behind a kitchen island, and then we hear like people banging on the windows and patio doors and stuff. And then something flies in. Well, something
It's
smashes
the
the
crow
patio
in it.
window. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, like,
it feels like someone's breaking in.
a chair like flies across the kitchen floor towards her, and then gets pulled back away from her. And that seemed really scary as well.
Like someone's breaking in.
Yeah. And she's like, "Fuck off!" Like she's got a knife. And then that's when Jeffrey turns up.
Yeah. So he's
They're
banging
off
at the
the
door, and then, but yeah, the banging at the door, which is supposed to be Jeffrey, like just checking what's wrong, is so aggressive. Like, so all these things that are happening, it's almost, again, like Jeffrey's like gaslighting her into thinking that it was, oh, it's just a crow. Don't worry, I'll rig it. I'll rig it snack. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
he rings the crow's neck, and then he goes outside and he does some great theatre where he's like, "Now listen here, if anyone's throwing crows through this window, it's not going to sit well with me." So
throwing crows.
There's also a bit where he's like, "You're a big flipping softie," and she's like, "What?" And my dad used to say that to me.
Oh yeah, you're a big softie who has absolutely none of the what's he saying?
yeah, all the
About being in
qualities
the
of a
army.
failed military man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what my dad used to say to me. But now I'm going to go out and give them what for? Okay.
But I
And
did
if
get
there
into
was-
the
if there-
military.
If there is a
Yeah.
scary murder out there, he'll go, "Oh, I'm leaving. I can't be dealing with this."
Oh, Jeffrey's not happy with me. I am not messing with him.
I don't even know what happens from this point on.
So-
You keep flicking to different men.
Yeah, so the
Different
lights
Rory
go off and
Kinnears.
Jeffrey disappears, and it's Naked Man again, and he
Naked.
blows dandelion seeds in her
Oh,
face,
yeah.
and she breathes one in and goes all wampy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the fertility imagery is pretty prominent at this point, isn't it?
Mhm.
I thought maybe something was going to happen where
I thought she was going to get captured or in some way possessed or put into some kind of ritual, and maybe it was that all of these different Rorys were actual separate entities. But what happens is that she slams the door, and having got away with it once, the guy puts his hand through the letterbox again, and in
what
a
can you
kind
hope
of
to achieve?
He should have done like a little face on his hand, but it's a little Rory Kinnear face. Oh.
Like what's she called from when Cartman does his hand
Jennifer
on South
Lopez.
Park? Yeah, Jennifer Lopez.
And he puts his hand through, and she kind of, in a dreamlike state, she kind of caresses the hand a little bit and holds it. But then I think he pinches her hand a little bit too tight. She sort of comes to again and just whacks a knife through him.
So
yeah,
I think that bit with the before she stabs him, I think it's really interesting because. Sorry for rambling.
Okay.
I think it's really interesting because it's like everybody else has been telling her that he's harmless and that he's not going to do anything. He's just harmless. And so when she reaches out his hand, it's almost like she's trying to comfort him. Like she's come to the come to the understanding that, oh yeah, he probably is harmless. He probably does just need a friendly hand or whatever, which is what the trap that a lot of women fall into. And then he actually grabs a hand, and when he grabs a hand and squeezes tight, that's when she sort of snaps out of a thing, and that's when she stabs his hand.
Yeah,
So
that's a
yeah.
really good point.
No, definitely.
This is a cool horror moment, really, where the hand is like pulling away from the knife, and it's like going all the way through.
Splits that hand, wham-bars it.
Wham-bars are absolutely delicious as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Don't have enough wham-bars these days. I don't know what happened to them.
You can still get them.
You can still get them.
Come on, mate.
And you can get little one-bar sweets now.
Yeah.
Like little soft sweets, like drumstick sweet things.
Just the flavor it kind of reminds me of Iron Brew, actually. When I think about it, I'm sure it's not the same, but they're orange, but they're not orange flavored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But these are pink and they've got little sparkly bits in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he turns his hand into a wham bar by pulling his hand backwards. It doesn't fit through the letterbox, so it basically split, and it takes a while. This is a hard watch. This is where people are squirming in their cinema seats as he's pulling this knife backwards against wall.
You say
through
that,
his hand.
The guy in front of me was snoring so loud. I have no idea what he was dreaming about. He was enjoying his time in the cinema and in the comfy seats.
Yeah,
and the women behind me were laughing their heads off at this point as well. Like I don't know what they were watching. But anyway, so so he pulls the hand, and then I can't remember. I think maybe the little boy. This is when the little boy's having sex with the crow.
This is the surrealism begins now, because we haven't seen evidence that they're necessarily the same entity at any time, apart from the fact they've all got Rory Kinnear's face. Now the little boy is got the mask on the bird and he's poking it in a metaphorical way. And he has got a split one bar hand, and he goes, "You really at me?" She goes, "Well, I'll fucking stab you, mate." And he goes, "I don't think you will stab me, will you, though?" You probably should, but you probably won't.
Sound a bit zippy.
Holland.
Tom
Holland.
To get to a point, okay, so he says you should run away, because you won't be able to again or something. So she runs into the bathroom.
He's playing hide and seek. I'll count to 10.
Yeah.
And she shuts the door, and then she's misunderstood. Poor communication here. He hasn't made it clear who's on, because she goes out and she counts to 10. He goes, "No, it's you this side." No, it's you.
She's never played hide and seek before. Yeah.
So he transforms into he transforms again into mullet Kinnear, and chases her up the
Chubby
stairs.
Brown Kinnear. Yeah.
Roy Chubby Brown Kinnear, Jim Davidson career. Why is everyone just like problematic 80s comedians?
Misogynistic 70s comedians.
Roy Chubby Brown, he's what's his name? Bernard
Manning.
I know it's confusing. You don't accidentally say Matthews.
Bernard Matthews, and then he said that.
Just an innocent turkey man.
Turkeyman.
Yeah.
So I can't remember who comes in. Is it priest
who
guy
comes
now?
into the
Priest
bathroom,
comes
yeah.
in now, and
So obviously,
then
the fact that they've all got the same injury suggests that like it's some kind of. I mean, I know there's dozens of metaphors knocking about in there, but some kind of hive mind being.
So,
like a
do you think
polymorph.
there's any literal horror here? I mean, this is where I'll be honest. I mean, maybe it was my screening. Like I said, I think that might have flavored my experience, but I kind of fell out of it at this point in the film because it started to feel more like a parody of this kind of film than a sincere version of this kind of film, where I start to feel like there isn't any literal horror here. Even Jessie Buckley doesn't seem scared. Like, there's moments where she seems scared, but it doesn't seem as terrified. And I don't know, it started to run a bit dry for me. Like, it just didn't. It just felt more and more ludicrous, and I don't think there was any literal. It's almost like so in most horror, I understand horror stories. You take the internal metaphor and you make an external version of that. A24 horror movies or these elevator horror movies tend to make the internal flaw, the internal metaphor, more strong than the external horror. So Babadook, the metaphor is actually the point of the story, less so than the physical manifestation of it. But this is like, it's all metaphor.
Yeah.
And there's no, which I don't mind, but this is the same problem I had with Us as well, to a degree, where I feel like I was led to believe it was going to be one thing, and it's trying to switch it up too late in the game. My expectations were that it is a literal horror. Now we've gone full metaphor, whereas Us did the opposite, where it's like, it is metaphor. Now we're trying to create a scientific, they're actually clones under the ground. And I don't know, it just, but maybe, like I said, it could have been the experience, the cinema experience, but I've got women laughing in my ears as this is all happening. I just couldn't take it serious myself. I was like, yeah, it is quite ludicrous, isn't it?
I can't say that I fully.
Silly.
I can't say that I fully unpacked it. My read of it was that perhaps there was some kind of base level explanation, like metaphors aside, that there was some kind of spirit or creature that represented itself in these forms, and it could be injured, which is why these injuries carry over. But it appears as these different characters and different facets of the relationships and is it questions that that she has for herself? Is it relationships that she's had in the past, or is it just, if it is representations of archetypes of men and different facets of their characters? I felt my takeaway from it that there was some entity that was replicating these things rather than being pure metaphor because of that injury carrying through, and that plays off in a moment. But I'd be really interested to see anything from the writers, directors of this movie that really explore that a little bit more.
I
And
think
the
priest. Sorry, Ben.
I think maybe I'm a little bit with you, Luke. I think at this point I was like, I mean, I enjoyed the body horror. I enjoyed the visuals. I think they were all like great, genuinely creepy, genuinely horrible, especially when there's like a foot coming out of a mouth. But yeah, in terms of everything that had been set up prior to this moment, I felt like it did take me out of it a little bit, where I was a bit like, okay, I understand there's a lot of metaphors going on here, and I can probably make of that what I want to make of it, but does that make it a better film than it would have been if, I don't know, I was slightly expecting something else, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
how about you, Laura? How do you feel about it when it essentially went around the bend at the end, or the last 30 minutes or so, with less than that, 20 minutes
around the bend at the end?
Yeah.
So I think when she's in the bathroom with the priest, like I was still really like, this is exactly what it's like, because you think like the amount of layers to it is ridiculous, and it takes ages to unpack it all, because it's like this is somebody you're supposed to be safe with for a start, who you already know is not supposed to be safe with, but you're also supposed to be safe in your own home. And a bathroom for a lot of people is a safe space, which is why the shower scene in Psycho is so effective, because the bathroom's like the place where you're vulnerable, where you're most vulnerable. And her being attacked in the bathroom is like terrifying. And when she like almost like when she looks like she's going to sort of almost pacify him, and then she stabs him, that's like, I was still with it there. When it got to I think when it got to Jeffrey in the car, I was a bit like, that's when I started being a bit like, this has just gone full on absolutely batshit crazy.
Full on League of Gentlemen at the end. Like, it was almost had a hint of it, but then it was like, this is just a League of Gentlemen episode.
Yeah.
It does get really extreme in these last minutes. I did find there was effective things in the character still. I think that the priest does a really good, like we've already seen the one turn where he went from the comfort and the support to the almost gaslighting and the shift of blame and the application of guilt there. In the bathroom scene, you see again this character who, especially with the station of a priest, you're meant to be, you know, like a spiritual leader and, you know, be essentially a mark of things that are good, and then it drives into like a barely contained like a sexual desire for her. And again, blaming Jessie's character for basically having the body that she has, because it drives him mad by existing and tempts him away from his morals, because having imagined her naked, then he is no longer responsible for his actions, because her existing makes him think that way, and he does attempt to assault her before she stabs him in the neck and runs out. And then we go out to the scene where we see it's almost accidental at the beginning, where we see Jeffrey and she takes pause because she hits him in her spotless Fiesta, and she thinks that he is injured. So that was her opportunity to drive away, to run away from that situation, but she still feels that guilt of having injured this, while flawed and made her feel a bit awkward, probably the one character who has to this point never tried to be actively aggressively against her. He has been, maybe in his quite awkward way at times, tried to be protective or tried to be supportive of her, certainly not tried to hinder in any way. And with this break in the car, then the mask is completely off. He pulls her out of the car, drives it away, and then comes back at her screaming, chases around the house, the garden rather, until he crashes the spotless Fiesta.
Just to note, before you jump into the
Endgame,
body horror Endgame, how lovely was that Milky Way in the sky? The stars. I was like, Jesus, that looks lovely. Like, so nice.
It was very fairy tale.
Yeah,
like you're
like
saying.
a light pollution.
Yeah, maybe we want to go for a little journey into the countryside a bit more. That was so nice. And then the body horror. I guess like the society kind of, the shunting style.
Yeah. And what do you make of this? So very briefly for listeners, like, we see characters progressively get out, and the ankle is now broken, and we've got the one bar split arm, and we've got all of the injuries that have been sustained across all the bodies. But then we see a succession of characters get up, have their bellies swell up to sort of pregnancy proportions, and then beyond to the extreme, and then give birth, first from what I gathered was, like they had both sets of genitalia, easy for me to say apparently, genitalia on this character, where it gives birth to another version of Rory Kinnear, like I think, is it the policeman, and then it instantly gives birth again, all the time crawling closer, several times over, so not only from the genitals, but then as we get to the end of the phase, coming out of the back as the body falls out, and it's regenerating again and again. And then, is this a metaphor for attitudes just breeding the same, the same approach and the same problems time after time? Is it just a cycling through this creature's forms? I don't know.
This was a brief thought I kind of had, because obviously the final form is her ex-husband. And I was thinking, does each person represent like a side or a part of her husband? Is it part of his makeup, a part of his personality? Each person represented that. And with each birth is almost like her overcoming and coming to terms with and getting over her husband and each element of him until he's finally there.
It could well be that, because it is like the childish nature of the one that's trying to guilt Harper's character there. There's the protective nature of like Jeffrey. There is the
sex,
the guilt of the priest,
the naked staring man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like that. Yeah.
Did she use the axe?
No, that was what I was going to say. Chekhov's axe.
Yeah.
She backs into it and she finally has it. And I was smiling to myself like, you've done it again, Anton. Here you are. You've reached Chekhov's axe and it's happened. And then it was a husband, and we are left with like a quiet scene where she is being cornered by this character's husband again, and the injuries that she's inflicted on the monstrous forms of Rory Kinnear have finally come to replicate the injuries he had on his body when he fell out of the window.
So I think I noticed that quite early on, that was the same injury as well. Probably because it was obvious, but I don't know. Laura, what did you think the births, the births, those births that happened, right, when all of them birthed themselves with back vaginas and etc.
Out the gob.
What did you think?
It was god, that when his foot comes out of his mouth, it was like the body horror was phenomenal. Like
it's a really good effect.
I just really enjoyed it. And like when he's like halfway out, there's one time where he's like halfway out and he's like staring at her, and he looks like a kind of weird half slug man. Like it was grim. But them giving birth, I thought it was like a metaphor for the way toxic masculinity breeds toxic masculinity. And it continues to, and the culture around it continues to breed toxic masculinity. And then when she sits down on the sofa with him is when she has the moment that she really should have had with the priest, which is when she forgives herself, because she says to him, it wasn't my fault. You did this to yourself.
Yeah.
Are we led to believe that she because at the end the husband says, I just want your love, and then are we expected to think that she acts as him, like mental, and then her friend turns up and there's like a trail of blood and she looks like really happy and relieved?
Yeah, she's having a nice time in the garden when her friend arrives in the final scene, and we don't see what she did with the axe, but we do see the evidence that something physical happened. She doesn't see a series of like cast off husks on the floor, but she does see a trail of blood. So hard to say.
Yeah, but it ends with her smiling in a kind of Midsummer style like note on the end.
Yeah, and obviously like when you say that, Midsummer's got a lot of these themes of like toxic masculinity as well. So
yeah,
I really liked it. I liked it to the end, and I don't mind that we didn't see whether she metaphorically or physically chopped up the final form of a husband. You what's it called? You either die a Rory Kinnear or live long enough to see yourself become a Papa Residue.
I could see, as we're talking about the body horror bit, I could see that as being a full page reveal on a Junji Ito story.
Yeah,
where it's like the several men giving birth to the next version of them. But yeah, I've got some name game if you guys are ready for it.
Always ready for some name game.
Okay.
Hell yes.
The first one is similar to Men, but it's about a young woman who goes on a solo vacation to Paris, and all of the bodies of water are the same. They're all the same body of water.
The Sen.
Zen. Well done. In there like lightning. Next one, similar to Men, but all the men are like a famous Liverpudlian comedian, affectionately known as the last great music hall entertainer.
Ken.
Ken. Well done.
Ah, yes.
Ken Dodd.
Ken Dodd.
Another one for you. Rocky Balboa goes on holiday to a little village and finds a bunch of people who look like his wife.
Adrienne.
Adrienne.
Adrienne. And one I thought about whilst we were recording today. It doesn't really follow the name game rules, but I'm sure you'll get it. It's about a civilized lady who finds herself on an island of uncivilized blokes. And it's a Disney film. So let's say, the civilized lady, she finds one of the brutish men, uncivilized men, and they fall in love. But then all of the civilized ladies from the other island are going to go over and kill the blokes and take all of their natural resources.
I mean, I was circling with Tarzan as a plural of Tarzan, but now that last one has fucked me.
Like I said, it doesn't follow the conventions of name game in any way at all.
Native American.
You're onto something. It's not that. It's Blocahontas.
Blocahontas.
Jesus.
That's amazing.
Very good.
Anyone got any more they want to stick in there?
I have one.
Go on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's really easy, but I have one. I thought of it before. So this film is about Peter Parker seeing his uncle everywhere he goes.
Ben.
Ben.
Bloody Uncle Ben, isn't it? How many times can he die?
Only once. Uncle Ben very rarely comes back to life. The only very few comic characters.
I do fancy a bit of rice, a bit of microwaved rice.
You got one? Any off the top of the dome, Ben?
What about a podcast where three bearded film fans are all the same person?
Ben.
It's just Ben. Three Bens. How about who does everybody watch Peep Show? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Super Hans and Jeremy have got a new business venture.
Men and Ben. Ven, I guess.
Men with Ven.
Men with Ven.
Man with a van. If you get a van as well, we could be men with Ven.
Men with Ven. Okay, I got one. So, convicted murderer and finger sucker Leslie Grantham plays a notorious soap villain.
Dirty Den.
Den. Correct.
Den.
I've got one more. I've got one more.
Go on.
God.
This film is about Rory Kinnear needing to go to a meeting.
Men. Oh.
But he's never quite sure of the time.
When?
When?
Okay.
You could do all sorts.
I've got one. Sort of like early 2000s, mid 2000s, England football coach.
Sven.
Sweden. Sven.
Sven.
I'm not even framing it as the film anymore. I'm literally just.
Okay, one more from me. So, in a 2D fighting game, there is a tournament, and they.
Tekken.
What?
Tekken.
No, not Tekken. Very, very popular character. If you do a quarter circle forward and press A, not as that person, but as a person with a similar thing, what move does he really favor?
Hadouken.
Very good.
Hadouken, yeah.
Do you?
I do.
Okay,
nice.
so that's the most name game per minute I think we've ever done.
Yeah, speed round.
We need
I
to
like it.
score the film. Let's see how many scores we can get in there as quickly as possible.
Scores in the
C,
doors.
D. Keep going. Who's got a score?
Is it Reek good?
Oh yeah.
Or is
Reek
it
bad.
Reek bad? Anybody
Reek
want to go
good.
first? Laura, do you want to go first?
Laura, you
Reek
can
good.
go.
Reek good.
Reek good.
Reeked.
I
good.
really enjoyed it.
Between A to F, where would that sit, do you think?
Probably a B.
Okay.
Probably a solid B, I think.
Yeah.
That's good.
I would be keen. Sorry, go on then.
Well,
Get
I feel
involved.
like I didn't enjoy it as much as you guys. You guys seem really into it. And I feel like the bits that are good are excellent. Like the filmmaking and the tone. It was already good. I just felt like
I think men get picked on enough already, don't you, Luke? That's what he's about to say.
I just feel like
I
leave
knew
men
it.
alone. Jesus.
Not all men.
The thing have you noticed the thing that ruined your screening is 3 women in
Oh,
the seat
I
behind you
see.
talking, flapping their gums as usual.
No, when
I,
you let the other men have a sleep. Wants a bit of peace.
Yeah.
Probably getting on
Yeah.
at home.
He was dead.
I just found it felt to me like if someone was to go on, we'll do like a parody trailer for an A24 horror movie. And then it felt like someone had made in the last half, I was like, okay, I know exactly what that is. Just take some social issue, make it all metaphor first story, and it'll have some craziness at the end, and it will end with the woman smiling at the camera. Like it did feel a little bit like that to me at the end. But like I said, I really enjoyed it overall. I don't know, maybe I was tired. It was late screening as well, and it was hot. I'm gonna give it a C plus.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. That's fair. I think like the cinema experience really does affect how you watch a film. Like I think I've mentioned before, when I watched The Boy 2, Brahms is back in town, where it was good, in one of the worst screens of my life, and because of that, I hate the film.
That's just
so
that's the film. Yeah,
the film
doesn't help.
Do you remember he's a scabby demon at the end? Too Brahms, too furious.
I'll probably give her a B- for this one. I think just because of like how well it's made as a film and the central performance. I think it's just held together really well. There's a lot to unpack to the point of maybe I've not even thought about it as much as I should have.
Yeah,
Up to this
same.
point,
Yeah,
I think I probably need to watch some videos, watch some video essays. Still, obviously, come to my own conclusion, but it felt a bit, possibly a bit heavy-handed in that last 30 minutes. But I think everything that led up to that was really well done, except maybe deep fake face kid. But
you hurt me, Ben.
you bloody hurt me, didn't you? But apart from that, I think it's an enjoyable, thought-provoking film, challenging film with some, unintentionally funny moments as well. Maybe intentionally, who knows? But yeah,
it could be tongue in cheek. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's an element of that. I'm not too sure.
But yeah, I'll probably go for a classic Luke Condor flavored B-.
B-.
Go on, Andy.
Right, round it off, I guess. Yeah, I enjoyed this. Again, I think you can take messages from it or watch it as a film on its own, live your life. But I think when it comes down to it, this is probably, I think, one of the more extreme horror experiences in terms of the body horror elements and the messages behind it that you're going to have in mainstream cinema release this year. So if that's the type of thing, if you want an intense film with things to think about and that you will come away from impacted by in some way, then this is probably the film for you to check out this year. No, I don't think there's much else on the slate for this year that I anticipate really having quite such a visceral impact, apart from maybe next week's film.
Well, you went to see Sonic 2.
I did see Sonic 2, but I wasn't as disturbed. If Ugly Sonic had been in it still, then maybe. Yeah, second only to Ugly Sonic in terms of the ongoing harrowing nature that we have here. I think there are some good messages to reflect upon on this, and I do genuinely believe some proper career-defining performances off the back of this. Like, if you want a great, really, really intense performance, look no further from, Jessie, Buckley, or Rory Kinnear, in particular. But yeah, I had a lot to enjoy about this one. I'm not academic enough to have unpicked all of the subtleties about it. I think there's probably things that I missed on screen, and there are definitely messages that I think folks whose whole thing is to actually do in-depth analysis can pull out in far more detail than I or we will manage of today.
I don't know.
But
This feels like a pretty in-depth analysis. I'm talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
maybe we're professors. Maybe we're all professors.
Maybe
after.
we're
You see,
professors after all.
we get one guest in with some actual credibility that studied this, and we picked it up straight away, guys.
Out of curiosity, where does this sit on your Alex Garland list of movies? As we all know, Alex Garland is father. So
His father. I think this is good. I don't need to forgive him for this. I'm going to land on a B+ for this. I think it was great.
Yeah.
Really well made movie. I think it might be on a par with Ex Machina, and I like it slightly more than Annihilation, which I liked right until the end, and then I didn't think the ending didn't quite land for me.
I was the opposite. As soon as the went weird in the end of Annihilation, I was like, oh yeah, this is the good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't like the way it played out with the space alien in the end.
I did.
I think
that's so weird. Yeah,
I prefer it to Annihilation, but I think I prefer Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. He
overall.
is dad because of he's father because of that for you.
Yeah.
I feel like Dredd is in the conversation, but he didn't even direct it. I think he wrote it, but then apparently there was talks that he couldn't help. He was his producer. He couldn't help but get involved in like overstepping his boundaries in the directing seat, like nudging himself on there. So I think it does kind of class as one of his films. Yeah, I mean, I think it's up there. I think I really like Annihilation. I've seen it like 4 times now for some reason. It's always seems to be on the TV. And I seem to like it more every time I watch it as well. It's just really strange, and I like the alien dance.
I need to watch it again. I've only seen the alien dance once, to be fair to it.
It takes the recommended dosage of alien dance is at least 3
RDA
before you come to understand it. What about you? Are you an Alex Garland fan generally? Would you say?
Is he father?
Is he father?
I liked Annihilation. I thought it was good because I really like the visuals in that. I really like the bit with the bear.
Yeah.
But that's about it. He's not father. He's not father. But he has said in interviews that he's deliberately trying to stay away from like defining what this was all about, because he said, like, I think it was an interview with Think Geek, he said that it's more about the audience's reaction to it, and it's more for the audience to decide what it was, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Turner Prize winning.
That's good there, yeah.
It's for the audience to decide. Doesn't help us write an essay, Alex. Come on.
Yeah. Well, so next week we're doing Dashcam, which I don't think could be further from the type of film Men is. So I'm looking forward to chatting about. Is it? We are doing that next week, right? Dashcam.
Yeah, Dashcam next week.
So I'm looking forward to that one. Thanks for listening. You can become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. We can get some bonus content and free stuff. Thanks to our patrons: Lane Spencer, John Cronin, Ben Scage, Stephen Christopher, Toby Miller, This Is Awkward, Laura Kendrick,
Thanks,
Scott
Laura.
Rigby.
Oh,
me?
you.
Ollie Child,
Thank
Julia
you.
Pilgrim, Leslie Carlo, and Pazuzu. This is Awkward. Pazuzu, who's also in the room.
Pazuzu's everywhere, though.
Yeah. Thanks to Taj Easton, he has got a website, hasn't he?
TajEaston.com.
There you go.
There we go.
Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. Please rate and review and subscribe. Thanks to my co-host Ben and Andy for being right hard dudes, but also special thanks to our special guest, Laura Kendrick. Laura, where can
Thank you,
people
Laura?
go to follow you?
I'm on Instagram at Better Late Than Novel.
Better late than never.
Is my Instagram. That's the best place to find me, my chaotic Instagram.
Just watch out,
And-
guys.
The chaotic Instagram. Sometimes it'll be a sandwich. Sometimes maths. Who knows?
Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
The
Nobody
two polar
knows.
opposite things: sandwiches and maths.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for asking me to come on and for letting me talk about men with you, because
Yeah.
it
an
was
absolute
fun.
pleasure.
And like, genuinely, this is my favorite podcast. So
Aw,
this has
thank
been
you.
like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's been really nice to.
Why? No,
Please, Marge. I don't take compliments very well. I had to get a Simpsons reference in the end. There.
You say that to all the podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but
They don't talk back most of the time, whereas
Yeah.
we invite you
We
on to
are-
say it.
We
Yeah,
are
come on.
here to thank you for it. Yeah, no, that we
Yeah.
really appreciate. It's been great having you on.
Thanks so much. It's been amazing. Good
All right,
times.
guys. Nice one.
All right.
Nice
See
one.
you next week,
Thank
everyone. Unless some
you.
bloody men
See you
get
next
you.
week.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.